Yes. Okay. 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 Sounds good.
Who am I looking at, you or them? Whenever you're ready.
Thanks, guys. Coach, being on the semifinal stage for the first time with this club, what was your message to the guys tonight in the locker room?
Yeah, I think, look, be totally focused on the task in hand and get out there, enjoy yourselves, and let's play some good soccer tonight.
And how do you change the course against this matchup, who you've played to a tie all season?
We expect a very tight game again tonight. Both teams obviously very committed to the cause. So our job is, can we impose our style onto them early and see where the game takes us. But the game will be going back and forth, two very good teams playing against each other tonight.
All right, thanks, Coach, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Good evening and welcome to Toyota.
So at halftime, I'll just pop down.
Thank you.
I'll pop down at halftime.
last Saturday, an electric atmosphere here at Toyota Field propelled San Antonio FC to a come-from-behind victory, and you can expect it to be just as loud tonight. It's the USL Cup playoffs, the Western Conference Semifinals, San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC. We have it for you on Fox Sports Southwest. A pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the broadcast booth, along with former Major League Soccer defender Lance Key. I'm Dan Weiss. It's great to have you with us. Lance, San Antonio FC heavily favored last Saturday against Tulsa Roughnecks, but it took a resilient performance to beat Tulsa and move on to tonight's match.
Absolutely. Tulsa did a great job last week of staying organized in behind the SAFC. Really didn't give them the space to get forward. We'll take a look here as Omar Gordon was able to really, late in the game, just get a ball into the frame. Cesar Elizondo with a great deflection. Then you see Billy Forbes here getting into the box later in the overtime section and did a great job to force the defender to pressure. Then we see Ever Guzman converting that penalty to go ahead 2-1 and ultimately win the match.
It was San Antonio FC's second come-from-behind victory of the season, and it came at a very opportune time. Lance, as we take a look at the Western Conference bracket here for San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC, they already now know the opponent that it could potentially face. Swope Park Rangers earned a 1-0 victory today over Sacramento Republic FC, so Swope is already moving on to the Western Conference Finals. They are awaiting the winner of San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC. Wow, Lance, San Antonio FC and OKC Energy, two familiar rivals. They have met 6 times over the course of 2 years. 5 of those matches have resulted in draws. Lance, OKC Energy is the only team in the Western Conference San Antonio FC has not beaten in their 2-year history.
Well, the staff do a great job of getting them prepared for SAFC. It's been difficult for them to break through. As you said, 6 matches in a row, no wins. Tonight they're hoping for something different, but they're going to have to do something a little bit different tonight, I think, than they've done. Ever Guzman could be the trick there because they haven't seen him yet. They're playing centrally in that number 9 role.
Oftentimes you throw the records out the window in the playoffs, and San Antonio FC is hoping to do the same tonight. Expectations, Lance, what is going to be the key for both these clubs tonight?
I think the key is defensively staying organized in front of a dynamic attacking group, whether you're talking SAFC or whether you're talking OKC. Both have dynamic attacking players that can really break through. Defensively, they're very capable, but can they remain patient? Can they remain deliberate and organized in front of that attacking group? And then can they both look for those counters? As we talked about, there's not been really much that's separated from a goal-scoring standpoint either team over 6 matches. That's a lot of play to very equal teams.
San Antonio FC got off to a bit of a slow start last Saturday night. Would you expect them to show a little bit more urgency from the start here this evening?
If you're an SAFC fan, you would certainly hope so, but something that we've talked about almost that's ailed them over the course of the season, being a little slow, a little bit hesitant to start the match. We'd like to see something different tonight, but both teams are going to be playing things fairly close, I would imagine, early on in this match because neither one of them want to give anything up. They've both done a good job of that, and as we're seeing with some of the other scores at this point in the season, not much separating one team from another. Ordinarily, these are 1-goal games.
Well, when you get to this stage of the USL Cup playoffs, the stakes become even higher, and you can expect the game faces for everybody in a San Antonio FC and an OKC Energy FC kit. We'll have starting 11s and our opening kick when we return to Toyota Field here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Look around the room, look at the people. Look around the room, look at the people next to you. This is a group that's got us to the playoffs. You impact the game by doing your job for the team and playing your role. Show the passion, the drive and the desire for 90 minutes tonight. Create history tonight. That's your job. Team on three. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The stage is set at Toyota Field, the Western Conference Semifinals. The number 2 seed San Antonio FC against the number 6 seed rather, OKC Energy FC. Let's take a look at our starting 11s. First for San Antonio FC, and Lance, no changes. They're going to run the same 4-1-4-1 they did, again with Diego Restrepo manning things in the net.
Yeah, no surprises there. I think what they've seen over the last few weeks has been exactly what they want at this stage of the season. They've been in good form, so no changes as expected.
OKC Energy FC, though, will have a couple of changes from the U.S. 15 goals on the season.
Absolutely. You've got Angulo and also Wojciech. And then underneath that, you've got Baril. All three really fantastic players. The dynamic movement and interaction between those three, the interchangeability between those three tonight will be something to watch for both sides.
Let's send it down to the third member of our team tonight, Anya Rosales. She's with San Antonio FC head coach Darren Powell.
Thanks, guys. Coach, being on the semifinal stage for the first time with this club, what was your message to the guys tonight in the locker room?
Yeah, I think, look, we've totally focused on the task in hand and
Sure we'll start now? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we have that.
And some technical difficulties there as we take a look at Diego Restrepo. And again, a record of 13-4-9 in the regular season. Last week, 2 saves against Tulsa Roughnecks and lifetime against OKC Energy FC. Lance, he was in the net for all 3 matches this season, 3 draws, 8 saves, just 1 goal allowed for Diego in those 3 matches.
We've talked about him really over the course of this season, certainly in the last month here. But he does such a good job, I think, of just communicating through that back line. And the 10 players in front of him really have a confidence and a comfort level with him back there. And I think that's why you've seen over the course of this season thus far, SAFC have lost 4 matches in what is it, 32 games. It's really fantastic, and it has a lot to do with just his presence in the net.
And only 1 home loss for San Antonio FC in the regular season, going 8-1-7. And that doesn't include, of course, their come-from-behind win against Tulsa Roughnecks FC last Saturday night here, winning 2-1 in a game that was just, it was thrilling. A nail-biter from start to finish in an atmosphere that was fantastic. You'd expect it to be just as loud tonight with the stakes even higher. And that 11 and the 18 on the bench in total, they certainly know what's at stake here with a spot in the USL Finals, the Western Conference Finals, next weekend. Darren Powell in his 2nd season with San Antonio FC, 28-15-19, including last week's win. And he told me earlier today that he doesn't think, Lance, that there's going to be a lot in the way of chances for both sides tonight, which makes the execution that much more important.
I think anyone you talk to in either camp is probably going to say the same thing. It's going to be played tightly. There's not going to be a whole lot. What it's going to come down to tonight is who can be opportunistic with those couple of chances. And at this point, that's to be determined. You like, if you're an SAFC fan, you like whatever Guzman provides in terms of being opportunistic there in and around frame.
We are underway. Along with Lance Key, our entire Fox Sports Southwest crew, I'm Dan Weiss. Thanks for joining us here this evening from Toyota Field. The Western Conference Semifinals, San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC. San Antonio in their home black kits trimmed in white and red. OKC Energy in their away white kits trimmed in green. And as we talked about at the top, 2 very defensive-minded clubs. As CJ Cochran will make his first touch of the game, and He's a guy we'll touch on a little bit tonight, Lance. Cochran came on for an injured Cody Lorendi back on September 23rd in Reno, and all he's done is win 5 consecutive games in what has only been his 13 total matches in the net for OKC Energy FC since joining the club last season.
Yeah, listen, he's been a great addition since he's come onto the field. He's been a necessary addition, much like Walter Restrepo, if we're Diego Restrepo, excuse me, if we're comparing the both of the goalkeepers and what they've done for their team, they've really enabled them to be successful as they've run through, especially this latter part of the season, for Cochran here in the goal for OKC tonight.
The matchup we'll watch for San Antonio FC is going to be on the left side of the field. Billy Forbes and Richard Dixon, the right fullback, have waged some unbelievable battles in the 3 matches this season. Again, all 3 ended in draws. 2 of them were scoreless draws. The most exciting match between the 2 was here at Toyota Field back on July the 17th. San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC playing to a 1-1 draw, but it was in stoppage time when Miguel Gonzalez scored on a crazy goal that leveled the game and earned 1 point for either side that night.
And we're going to see it similar tonight. You're going to see both teams scrap it out for the entirety of the match. And as I said just a few minutes ago, if one team can really be opportunistic tonight, they're only going to get a couple of chances on either side, real clear-cut chances, I would imagine. But you've got 2 very dangerous, attacking-minded, goal-scoring forwards in Angulo and Guzman.
As into the box, here's Vucic Wojcik, who goes to the back post, and it comes out Kyle Hyland. And Hyland will track it back down on the byline there with pressure from Marco Zhang. We'll get our first corner of the match, and it belongs to OKC Energy FC.
Something I would imagine over the course of the week of training for Darren Powell and his staff is really working on the organization and ball winning in these defensive corner situations. We saw a lot of these last week against Tulsa, and I would say only managed okay. Certainly not as highly successful in terms of their management of these defensive corners as we would like to see them. And so certainly a point of interest, I would imagine, over the course of the week.
Anthony Wallace bends the ball to the deep post, and San Antonio FC will take over here. Here's a look at Wallace, 28-year-old, former 9th overall pick by FC Dallas back in 2007. 44 games of Major League Soccer experience between FC Dallas, the Colorado Rapids, and the New York Red Bulls. He's one of several veteran players on this OKC Energy FC team, Lance, who are built very similar to San Antonio FC, whereas last week with Tulsa, we saw a lot of young players, first, second-year players. You're going to see a team that's built very similar to San Antonio FC tonight.
And not a lot of naivete at play. You know, we've talked about how closely they've played over the course of 6 matches in 2 seasons. A lot of that's going to come down to just the quality of experience that both teams bring to the match.
Now Ryan Rishandel accepting contact there as it came in from Alex Dixon. And a foul, and San Antonio FC awarded a free kick here. Early moments of the match. San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC. If you go back and you look at the numbers between these 2 clubs, there was only 21 combined shots. That was the most out of the 3 matches. And where San Antonio FC had 22 shots total last week against Tulsa Roughnecks FC by themselves, just gives you an idea of how, as you put it, close to the vest both these teams like to play it.
And I think we're going to see that as we've said many times already. You see OKC setting up in a 4-4-2, really with those 2 blocks of 4, similar to what we saw from Tulsa last week, creating some congestion for SAFC, and there we see a little bit of indecisiveness from McCarthy as he came forward because there's not a whole lot of space to play in. Now, what you've seen SAFC do straight away from the start of this match is with Omar Gordon and Billy Forbes really stretching out that OKC back line from touchline to touchline to see what can they do in terms of creating seams for Elizondo, create some seams for Eber Guzman to be able to find that ball in the attacking third, because they didn't do a great job of that last week.
The one thing for OKC Energy FC that we've come to learn is that their organization and their back end is exceptional. They were tied for 12th in goals conceded, 41, 9 clean sheets for them as they put forth a 14, 11, and 7 mark, but only 3 wins, Lance, on the road this year. So they really struggled away from Taft Stadium in Oklahoma City. That being said, they come into tonight winners of 5 straight matches, and they have outscored the opposition 14-3 over that time. Here's Pekka. And San Antonio FC with a slip ball through in the direction of Elizondo as Richard Dixon steps up, and it's Elizondo playing it back to the outside as San Antonio FC delivers one to the top of the box. Cochran back for Cesar, and well done there by OKC Energy FC on the challenge on Elizondo. Will set up the counter-attack here for Energy. Wojciech over the top, and it's Diego Restrepo to come out and anticipate ahead of Jose Angulo.
Yeah, that was well managed there from SAFC in terms of defending that OKC counter, but you saw that last possession came as the SAFC came forward. There really just wasn't very much available. Cesar Elizondo on the end of that ultimate tackle. Just not a lot of space to operate, and that's going to be by design. You've got a goalkeeper in Coach Nielsen. He's going to be organized, and you can expect that throughout the course of 90 minutes.
That challenge coming from Mickey Daly, who was not in the 11 last Saturday night in Reno, but he's been a big key in their center back fortunes this year. As Elizondo shot redirects it in, and San Antonio FC an early goal. They're up 1-0 at home.
Wow, so unfortunate there for CJ Cochran. He was playing that initial strike of the ball from Elizondo. And we're going to see that here as he plays and shifts to his right. You're going to see him play that initial strike of the ball. Elizondo, a good job here to create some space for himself. And then off Mickey Daly. And an unfortunate touch past CJ Cochran.
Now, Cochran did all he could to get back out with that left arm, but what a break for San Antonio FC in the 8th minute of the match, Lance. And boy, we talked about starting the game with a sense of purpose and urgency, and San Antonio FC, which had only scored once against OKC in 3 matches this year and only twice in the history of 6, is on the board early.
What a fantastic break. Really caught a break to end last week's match with Tulsa by drawing that penalty late in overtime. Those are the types of scenarios in playoff soccer, in playoff sport of any kind, really. You have to be able to catch those breaks. And that was a fantastic break here for SAFC. But credit to Cesar Elizondo, who found himself with a little bit of space. He had his back to goal with pressure. He did a good job to work out through the legs of the defender, created some space for himself to be able to wind up and strike that ball, and really caught it fairly cleanly. And it was the power that he put on the ball that allowed it to deflect off of Mickey Daly and beyond CJ Cochran.
Cesar Elizondo dealt with some injury issues this season. He got off to an unbelievable start, had 4 goals for San Antonio FC in their first 6 matches, Lance. He had not scored since April 28th until the redirection goal last Saturday against Tulsa Roughnecks FC, and now goals in back-to-back matches. Is over the top. Angulo gets into space in the area. Angulo just wide of goal. Wow, and you talk about 2 teams so exceptional in their form defensively, and we've almost seen 2 goals here in the first 9 minutes.
Angulo, you cannot underestimate the strength and the resilience of Angulo as a number 9 there. McCarthy's he's not a lightweight defender, and he just with the movement of that shoulder and putting some weight into that right side was able to set McCarthy off balance and then cut the ball back across Ibeagha, and he just wasn't able to reorganize himself to get a good clean strike on that ball on frame. But he's so dangerous, and that's why, because he's so powerful in and around the box. And those are the types of things that San Antonio FC are going to have to deal with tonight as a back line. We talked about that. Can they stay organized and stay in front of him? Right there, he did a good job of creating some space for himself.
Yeah.
A short corner by Wallace will turn into a throw-in for OKC Energy FC here as Wojciech trying to get the final touch on his left foot for an attempt that was blocked away. Cochran will push it forward, and OKC Energy FC will settle under, but it's Pekka who will come away with it for San Antonio, and he'll go wide to the outside for Marco Zhang, who will push forward. Omar Gordon, who got San Antonio FC level with Tulsa Roughnecks thanks to Cesar Elizondo's left foot. in the second half that really changed the complexion of last Saturday night's match for San Antonio FC. Up till that point, you could say Tulsa did all the right things, Lance, but from that point forward, San Antonio FC was in control of the match.
Absolutely. As soon as they scored that first goal, SAFC there in the second half to equalize the game, and we spoke about it, it was likely to open up, and that's exactly what it did. But, you know, you spoke a little bit about Cesar Elizondo. If we go to last week's match, you see that the initial challenge, he was the one that made the initial challenge against the goalkeeper. That ball was then deflected out. He was knocked down on the ground, got up, regained his foot, and was able to organize himself to redirect the ball on frame. So a lot of credit to him, but he's also playing in a role that suits him far better than playing in that number 9. Underneath, playing in the number 10 role, where he has some space to read the game, keep a lot of the game in front of him, keep a lot of the attacking space in front of him. He's very creative with the ball at his feet. And so I think part of it is just him finding his natural position within this side and then being able to play to those strengths.
Good challenge there by Cochran to win the ball away from Richard Dixon. San Antonio FC, however, cannot push forward as they concede possession away. Jimmy Nielsen, the head coach of OKC Energy FC, the White Puma, one of the best goalkeepers in all of MLS, who finished his career on a high note by winning an MLS Cup. He probably lands here as OKC Energy onside here, but Diego Restrepo will come out and get the ball, and Stephen McCarthy had both arms waved, looking for the offside flag that was never there. Going back to Jimmy Nielsen, I was going to say he probably had a mindset, Lance, of how he wanted to play this game. Has that changed now, obviously, with the early goal for San Antonio FC in the first 8 minutes of the match?
In some ways, yes, because he's got to find ways to create a little bit more going forward. In some ways, no, because staying organized defensively, let's pause on that for a minute.
Wojciech goes deep, and the attempt coming in by Alex Dixon was blocked out of harm's way. It's San Antonio FC will get the clearance upfield.
To pick that point up again, he's going to have to create more attacking options, more attacking danger and creativity early in this match, probably than he had planned on. My guess, he's probably hoping to really be tight defensively, stay organized defensively, and not give much up, and then just see what provides itself. What does the game provide for them, I should say. At this point, you got to go out and create more.
Alex Dixon, former Houston Dynamo Academy product, 7 goals this season. So there is offense on this OKC Energy FC, and now the flag goes up. Down by the corner stick on Alex Dixon. 17 career goals for the 27-year-old, 13 appearances in Major League Soccer. There is the White Puma. Jimmy Nielsen is the longest tenured coach in the Western Conference, an overall record of 46, 39, and 33 in league play. This is his 3rd straight trip taking OKC Energy FC to the USL Cup playoffs. Last season, they lost in this round 3-2 to Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2 years ago. They went to the conference final where they fell to LA Galaxy 2. So it's a familiar position for him, and for some of these players, they've been in this spot before, as we'll get a possession foul, and San Antonio FC will earn the free kick as Wojciech commits the infraction against Pekka.
To pick up on Nielsen just for a moment, you talked about his success as a player, winning an MLS Cup. You talk about his consistency, finding themselves deep into the Western Conference playoffs. These are things that don't happen by accident. He's obviously done a great job with his personnel, his playing personnel. He's done a great job with his staff in terms of finding the right pieces to complement him. And he just consistently puts out a side that is in position to win the match.
11 returnees from last year's club that finished 10-7 and 13, but was one of the stingiest defenses again in all of USL soccer. But they've got to find some offense tonight. This team, however, scored the most goals in the history of OKC Energy FC, 46 of them. And the big acquisition was Angulo, who came over on loan from St. Louis FC back on July the 11th. As this ball's played wide in the direction of Kyle Hyland. As Hyland gives the service into the box, and it's headed away from danger by who else but Sebastian Ibiaga, who led San Antonio FC in clearances this season with 190. Omar Gordon in space, but the tackle from behind will work possession away, and OKC Energy FC on the ball, but Errant pass ends up back in the Cesar Elizondo's grasp.
And you got to appreciate as you watch OKC organize themselves to defend out of their attacking third, both forwards. Angulo and Wojciech do such a great job of defending and working back.
Great run for Billy Forbes. His attempt, though, was blocked, and C.J. Cochran will sky to bring the ball down. What the opening goal for San Antonio FC, Lance, should do is that it should bring the line a little bit higher on the back end, you would think, tonight, and should open things up for both Billy Forbes and Omar Gordon out wide.
Well, as you prompted, what changes for them? Defensively, they've got to stay organized, but they've got to create more attacking creativity. So in order to do that, you have to be willing to advance further up the field, which, to your point, is going to create space like we're seeing here, which is something SAFC really thrives in.
Pekka will get forward outside the area as two players converge on him, and this ball is going to go off Richard Dixon. It'll be San Antonio FC's first corner of the match. Pekka, the 28-year-old, 4 games of MLS experience back with Real Salt Lake in 2015. And Omar Gordon making his way over to the stick to take the corner store corner kick for San Antonio FC. They had 8 corners in the match last Saturday against Tulsa Roughnecks FC. But against OKC Energy FC, Lance, they didn't have any more than 2 corners in any of the 3 matches this year. Gordon, the in swing to the top of the 6 and headed out of danger's way. Jose Barril, product of the Real Madrid Academy. Of course, that prominent first division side in Spain, as Angulo trying to, or rather not Angulo, but Miguel Gonzalez trying to slip behind the back 4 for San Antonio FC. And that was, Lance, in the regular season where OKC Energy FC had a lot of their success against San Antonio, was getting their number 9 or their number 10 to kind of slip behind the back 4 and just getting that ball through space, whatever little space there is between Ibeagha and McCarthy. They had a couple opportunities like that during the regular season.
Well, again, that's by design. If you're training your number 9 and your number 10, you want that number 10 to find those seams. SAFC tonight want the same thing from Elizondo, to be able to find those seams off of Ever Guzman. The same thing's going to happen here with Angulo and Wojciech. That time wasn't Wojciech, but you're going to see a lot more of that as the 2 front runners in this 4-4-2.
And here is the aforementioned Wojciech as OKC Energy FC gets upfield here now, trying to pressure into the final third. The San Antonio FC through the first quarter hour of the matchup, 1-0 on Cesar Elizondo's goal in the 8th minute that went off Mickey Daly and took a change in direction before it found a home behind C.J. Cochran into the OKC Energy FC net. And a foul on Richard Dixon on Billy Forbes, and again, that's a matchup we're going to watch throughout the night.
Yeah, Richard Dixon just making sure that Billy knows it doesn't matter where he goes to find the ball, even if he comes all the way back into his own defensive third of the field, he's going to be right there with him. And he'll be with him every step of the night. As you talked about, it was such a great matchup in terms of watching the game be played between 2 individuals. That's really been one of those fantastic matchups to watch.
Cesar's goal was his 8th as a member of San Antonio FC, and it gives him now 16 goals as a member of San Antonio's professional soccer ranks. Him and Billy Forbes, of course, are San Antonio soccer royalty. Dixon, as he works with Alex Dixon, no relation. Ball to the back cross, or to the back post rather, is brought down by Diego Restrepo.
For the most part here tonight, through this first 20 minutes of the match, SAFC have done a good job of moving with those players that are making those movements off the ball. So that off the ball movement, what does that look like? A lot of weak side movement ordinarily. You talked about earlier from slipping over from that left-hand side, slipping in behind the SAFC defenders, trying to create mobility in the attack. Something Jimmy Nielsen certainly worked on this week in training, and how to break the SAFC down. But SAFC have been up to the match at this point, really haven't given a whole lot away, and have really stayed organized defensively.
Get the best seats at Toyota Field with a 2018 San Antonio FC season membership. Packages start at just $180. Get exclusive events with a team, gifts, ticket exchange program, and more. Visit SanAntonioFC.com for details. There's Energy on the attack. And into the box, Angulo, and a save by Restrepo. And the clearance outside of the area. Chad Bond skying high underneath the ball, but San Antonio FC will push forward. As Elizondo will get under the ball now with Forbes trying to make the run, and it's Dixon who will get back on it. And it's danger averted for the visitors.
Great positioning there, both from Ryan Rashando and Pekka, sitting in front of the back line, making sure to stay connected there, and then finding that second ball. Speaking to some of the staff over the course of the week, that was one of the things they talked about being very, very important in terms of controlling the rhythm of the match, is can they find the second ball? Because playing in forward to Angulo from OKC, he's such a powerful presence in the air, and he's very difficult to win the ball against. But it's not as much the first ball as what does the second ball look like? A great job there from the SAFC central midfield, coming back and finding possession.
A poor touch there by Elizondo results in a turnover, and here's Wojciech on the counterattack. 3 San Antonio FC players converge on him, and it's McCarthy who will finally work the ball away from the 25-year-old Wojciech. And now Elizondo on the counter upfield with Billy Forbes.
There's class defending there from McCarthy, not just on the defensive side of the ball, but as soon as he got into transition, just a nice bit of technical creativity to be able to play out of that pressure. McCarthy in and alongside Ibiaga, we've talked about that over the course of the season. They really are a great match, and two very, very different players. And as much as Ibiaga has been that kind of powerful presence in recovery and lots of clearances that you've spoken about, there's a tremendous amount of soccer IQ playing alongside that in a McCarthy, who's been a great compliment over the course of this season.
Well, the game has started to settle in here a little bit as San Antonio FC had the early jump, and then it was Angulo who had the opportunity to equalize just moments after Elizondo's goal. And now here's danger in the area. Cochran has to come out and eventually get the ball away from Mickey Daly, who was being harassed up front by Ever Guzman.
And that's what Ever Guzman does. He's going to harass both of those center backs throughout the course of the match. Mickey Daly will be having to cross his T's and dot his I's tonight to make sure there aren't any more of those scenarios.
Ryan Rashando.
Good patience there from Rashando. Again, just brings such a nice, calm presence. The staff are high on what he's been able to bring here in this latter part of the season in particular. He just brings such a stability to the central part of defense. Finds his way back into the back of midfield, really supports those two central defenders in possession. Obviously scored a great goal to secure their playoff home field advantage a few weeks back.
Well, this again is where I think experience and the strength of playing at home for San Antonio FC really helps them in this moment. Up a goal in the first half, they can now play the game at their pace. They can set the tempo. And they'll still press forward here. But the luxury of getting that opening goal has always been a blessing for San Antonio FC, who during the course of the regular season were 16-0-3 when getting that first goal.
Isn't that woeful? 16-0-3 is a fantastic number as you start to quantify that within the context of a match. They're a difficult team to play anyway, but certainly a very difficult team to have to come from behind to defeat on their home field.
Led the USL in fewest goals conceded, 24. Led the USL in clean sheets, 15, and including the one goal last Saturday, Lance, they just dominated the opposition at home. 11 goals allowed in 17 matches here at Toyota Field. It's a tough place, as you mentioned, for a visiting team to come in, not only to score, but to win. Wallace lifts one into the box, headed by Wojciech, and Restrepo there for a big save.
Great positioning there from Diego Restrepo to be able to manage that.
And a foul here on Energy and San Antonio FC. We'll earn the free kick with Omar Gordon down. Now, Wojciech will present some problems for San Antonio FC, particularly on set pieces. He's a big body at 6'4", and 13 goals in his professional career. Came over on loan last season from Indy 11. of the North American Soccer League, and he's a big target there, especially inside the area.
Both of them, really. You look at Angulo and Wojciech, both very large physical presences, and they not only have big frames, but they also work exceptionally hard. You see them both working back defensively, as we talked about earlier.
McCarthy makes a good run. Tries to slip this one in for Elizondo. And back on the counter, here's Wojciech.
And a good job of SAFC recognizing McCarthy's gone forward, keeping numbers back to stay organized to prevent any kind of danger in that counterattack so that McCarthy could recover there.
Well, it is becoming festive here at Toyota Field. The early goal, and the San Antonio FC fans have been in it from the start of the match tonight, whereas San Antonio FC conceded early on last Saturday night, and everybody was kind of on pins and needles a little bit, Lance. It was not looking very positive early for San Antonio FC until, of course, Elizondo and Gordon combined to get San Antonio FC on the board in the second half.
It wasn't really looking positive through almost an hour until Omar Gordon really created a finishing opportunity from distance, not from really anything terribly creative. It was a deflection, a ball came back out to his feet. He did a reasonable job of getting the ball out and being able to put it on frame. But there wasn't a whole lot that Tulsa gave away to SAFC for them to be able to find any success.
Energy on the attack, Alex Dixon. And this will be a corner awarded here for Energy.
And we're so used to seeing on this pitch throughout the course of the season, SAFC really breaking out on the counter. We're starting to see a little bit more of that from OKC here, and SAFC having to really recover defensively to try to get back and get numbers underneath.
Well, when I talked to Darren Powell, he mentioned OKC is a sneaky good team on the counter. You know, they don't necessarily get a lot of their goals from the counter attack, but they can certainly provide a lift offensively in that area. And again, it's Anthony Wallace, left-footed in-swinger, will take the corner from the far stick, third of the match for OKC Energy FC. 28th minute at Toyota Field. San Antonio FC on the board first tonight. Cesar Elizondo in the 8th minute. Wallace, short delivery again. That's twice on the three corners, Lance. He hasn't gotten it over the first defender, and you talk about that so many times during matches.
Well, I think anyone who's of a coaching mind is going to talk about that, because you're accustomed to telling your players who are there setting on the free kick, make sure to clear that first defender. We're not going to have any chance to be successful with this attacking set piece if we don't clear that first defender. Oftentimes, those are the things that lead to counterattacks, which both of these teams are certainly capable of capitalizing on.
Angulo was trying to get out wide, but the ball never came to him. Pekka will put it out to the opposite side here for Marco Zhang.
And again, you see the nice little relationship between Roshando and Pekka there, being able to play through each other to get from left side to right side very quickly. Fantastic possession there from SAFC to be able to work themselves up into the attacking third on their right-hand side.
Wojciech sends it forward, but to no one in particular, as Diego Restrepo will settle things down for San Antonio FC as we're nearly through the first half hour tonight. And in a game where you kind of expected it to be very slow going offensively for both sides, we've actually probably seen more chances here in the first half hour than I think we saw in any of the three matches this season between these two clubs. San Antonio FC getting on the board very early in the match, but OKC certainly having their share of the chances as well too.
And because of the alignment with OKC playing in that 4-4-2, they're having to resort more often than not to balls that are being played over the top in behind and not really playing through that midfield block, because SAFC have that numerical advantage there centrally. You've got Roshando, you've got Pekka, and you've got Elizondo. And on the other side, you've got Baril, and you've got Chad Bond. So they're playing in a 3 versus 2. That's why you're seeing Wojciech have to slip back into midfield quite a bit to come and try to create some sort of equality in terms of the numbers and management of that space.
Which is probably to San Antonio FC's benefit, because if you can keep Wojciech in the middle of the field away from your final third or in the area, that's keeping him out of a possible scoring opportunity.
Absolutely. So you would just wonder over the course of the match, what OKC will do to manage that, because surely they're feeling it. Barill's certainly at halftime going to say, listen, I've got to get more of the ball. I'm not getting any of the ball at my feet. I've got to be able to get the ball at my feet so I can be creative and I can really have an impact on this match. And it's really right now he's just having a hard time finding space because they're playing one fewer players in that block. And so you like some of the danger that OKC have created, being able to play those balls into and behind the SAFC back line, but there hasn't been a whole lot of success and connection.
Billy Forbes wins the challenge, taking it away from Dixon. Billy making the run, and a great job coming back by the aforementioned Barill as he's able to get down, and now will receive the ball back as OKC Energy will push forward now. Alex Dixon on the attack. Sends one into the area, blocked out by McCarthy. And another opportunity as OKC will settle. Billy will come back here into the defensive position. Alex Dixon again, slipping one into the area. Miguel Gonzalez on the pitch. And it's an easy save for Diego Restrepo.
Lots of numbers back there for SAFC. Really both teams, if you want to talk about team defending, if you're watching this match today, you've got to look at it and say both teams are doing a very, very good job of team defending. They're all getting organized. They're getting numbers back behind the ball, something that throughout the course of regular season matches sometimes you don't see a whole lot of. You see your wide attacking players just want to drift and stay high and don't really want to work back unless they have to. A little bit more commitment to the defensive side of the game tonight by both sides. And although more chances perhaps than we've seen in some of the previous matchups, still not a lot of real clear-cut chances.
You saw Jimmy Nielsen on the OKC Energy sideline in the big coat tonight. Darren Powell's wearing a sweater. It's brisk out here tonight, especially for late October in South Texas. 54 degrees under clear skies. No wind, though, and so that won't affect conditions here this evening.
That's really a beautiful night for the game. The players will be eating it up. Saw some gloves and some long sleeves in warm-up. I didn't expect those to last.
Energy after taking possession away with Wojciech pushing upfield and again trying to slip that ball through to Angulo, but that was well defended by Ibiaga, who was going stride for stride there with Angulo.
And before it got to Ibiaga, if you're watching this match, and hopefully the TV captured it, you see McCarthy do something most defenders don't do a great job of, and that's just creating a little bit of contact with that left elbow, that inside elbow, to just throw Angulo off his rhythm of running. And that allowed that ball to slip through, and Ibiaga really didn't have anything to deal with. Very, very good defending there from McCarthy, something that you might not pick up if you don't have the right angle of it. But talking about the IQ of McCarthy, we talked about earlier in the match, he's a player that's very, very good, very sophisticated in the way that he defends those off-the-ball movements.
You played in Colorado in your Major League Soccer career. What's the coldest you've played in a match before?
Quite. There were many training mornings where we trained on ice.
Well, that Denver weather, man, it could be 90 one day, it could be 20 the next.
Well, that's it. It would snow, it would melt, it would become ice, and then we'd train. Skate free. Again, Billy Forbes there getting back underneath the ball, good defending. The initial was good defending, the second not so much.
McCarthy working with Rashandel, and McCarthy will clear this one over the touchline. They'll throw in for OKC Energy FC. Stephen McCarthy, 29 years of age, 69 games of Major League Soccer experience, all with the New England Revolution. What a job he's done in 2 years here in San Antonio. Barill to the outside, Kyle Hyland. Hyland chips it over the top into the area. Wojciech, and there'll be a goal kick for Diego Restrepo and San Antonio FC. Wojciech looks frustrated out there here early on in the first half.
Well, because SAFC are doing a good job of recovering under the ball, like we talked about, he just isn't finding a whole lot of space to operate in the area he'd like to. Maybe within that back line of SAFC or slightly underneath it. He's having to work a lot further back to come find possession, and when he does, he doesn't have a whole lot of support around him.
OKC's doing a good job getting forward as three players collapse on Angulo. Tries to play to the outside, and a good job by Marco Zhang, who gets a piece of that one to set up a throw in here for Energy. Miguel Gonzalez along the outside. Good in-swing delivery. It's off of Wojciech, and San Antonio FC can get the clearance. Ever Guzman on the counter is brought down to the midfield by Jose Barril.
And such a nice feature for SAFC to be able to look forward and see Ever Guzman there playing in the number 9 role, doing a good job of just working back, winning possession of the ball, and allowing the rest of his team to advance up the field without putting himself in a position to lose the ball. That retaining possession is so important, something that I think that oftentimes is overlooked in terms of value.
You mentioned in the last match, you thought when Ever Guzman came on and him and Cesar Elizondo switched roles, Cesar dropping back to the number 10, Ever Guzman becoming the number 9. That just seemed to be the right fit for both of those players.
Absolutely, and what has it created for everyone else? You think about what that's created for the 2 wide players in a Billy Forbes, an Omar Gordon, or a Chris Tierpak when he's in. Because of the relationship of those 2 in that central midfield area, getting into that 18-yard box area, that block of space, it's created a lot of opportunity for Billy Forbes and for Omar Gordon, Chris Tierpak when he's been in, to be able to get those 1v1 situations that they so want. But because of what Ever Guzman provides, because of how opportunistic he is, because of how sort of savvy he is in his movement and what he's able to do in possession, it really holds that defensive group of the opposition centrally, and it's just allowed things to open up for everyone underneath him.
Roshandle feeling some pressure and takes some contact from Angulo.
And that's what Angulo's going to bring. We talked about it. He works so hard defensively. He doesn't mind defending. He loves to score goals, but he doesn't mind defending. A very, very good player, just making it difficult there on Ryan Roshandle in possession. You're going to have to work for everything tonight.
Jose Angulo, this is the second time in his career he's had 15 goals in a season. The last time was in 2013 with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. In just 23 games he did that, and he was tied with now U.S. national team member Dom Dwyer for the most goals in USL play back in that 2013 season. Some pretty good company for him. Here's Cochran up the left side. Tries to swing one into the box off Mickey Daly, and it was Daly's redirection that resulted in the Elizondo goal in the 8th minute. That is the only goal of this match so far. This one over the top has Roshandle coming back into his defensive third of the field. Very poised ahead of Vucek Wojciech.
And again, you see the numbers here. You see how the numbers are playing out and which part of the field. High numerical advantage for SASC as they transition out of their attacking third into the middle third. And then as they start to get into their own attacking third, dealing with a pretty compact and pretty tight defensive unit in OKC.
Gordon. And he gets a little contact as he slips through and is brought down, and they play on.
A great effort there from Gordon and trying to turn something out of that situation. There wasn't really a whole lot of opportunity for him. He was just trying to make it the best he could. Probably a little bit too theatrical there with that final contact. Otherwise, he might have gotten the call.
You know, Guido Gonzalez Jr. was our center referee tonight, and I think he's actually done a pretty good job in the sense of really realizing what the true contact is, and to your point, you know, maybe not being sold by the theatrics. And another slip ball through him, but stride for stride, Ibiaga there with Wojciech. They have clearly scouted what OKC Energy FC wants to do here tonight as we take a look at Omar Gordon's last opportunity.
He's looking at a 2v1 situation, nothing really coming out of it, but he's able to stay on the ball. Certainly some contact, but some good defensive effort as well. I think as you mentioned, center official tonight really wants to try to let things develop a little bit, not be too quick to whistle, let the game have its own rhythm.
Dixon will get ahead of Billy Forbes this time. San Antonio FC will take the throw in the 40th minute. Cochran will return it to McCarthy. San Antonio FC again kind of trying to play at the pace they want, can seize this through to the end of the half to maintain their 1-0 lead. Barril back on the ball for OKC Energy FC. He's wearing the armband tonight as the Energy FC captain.
You talk about the numerical advantage that SAFC have centrally with their 3 versus 2. Very well defended, well-timed tackle there from Billy. We'll come back to that in a moment.
Pekka pushing forward here with numbers to the outside for Gordon. Gordon gives it a strike, but well wide and over goal.
We talked about what that's translated into in terms of possession for OKC in the middle of the park. But I'd like to see SAFC in possession do a better job of capitalizing on that numerical advantage. Can they build through the midfield in those advanced areas and not just underneath? Right now, most of their building is coming just as they come out of their attacking half of the field, but can they start to collaborate and build a little bit more going into their final third?
Nicky Daly, Alex Dixon, Wojciech. Return pass gets through Cochran to Dixon and will turn into an OKC Energy FC corner. That's a rare miscue by Greg Cochran, who's usually so good on the back end on that left flank. Meanwhile, Ryan Rashandel back upfield is still down on the pitch and to be just getting his... Well, for a moment, it looked like he was just going to kind of get his shoe back on here, but he's going to get his shin pad set back. It doesn't appear to be any injury for Rashandel here. And it is the fourth quarter of the match for OKC Energy FC, and Anthony Wallace, who twice has not gotten a ball over the top of the first defender, will try to achieve that here on his fourth corner.
I think his first one went straight out over the end line for a goal kick.
Left-footed in-swinger to the top of the six, and again, this time Diego Restrepo on a better service in was able to get to this one.
Great communication, great poise and confidence there from Diego Restrepo coming out to get on the end of that corner. Talked about his presence and his confidence, not only in himself, but what that confidence means for the rest of his team.
That's a bad ball by Rashandel for the wrong man, Angulo, and San Antonio FC dodges a bullet there. Cochran gives the ball up. Here's Alex Dixon now. And this will go off Omar Gordon, and that's a friendly bounce to Diego Restrepo to prevent another corner.
Time to reorganize. A few unstable moments here for SAFC as they're starting to close out this half.
Restrepo and Wojciech with some words. Restrepo sends this one into the crowd just below us. Richard Dixon. So important for San Antonio FC to finish this first half strong, because the end of their first half last Saturday against Tulsa, I thought, was the spark, of course, that got them going to the second half. Angulo can't run this one down.
Yeah, their effort at the end of the first half last week was very, very strong. It was very dynamic. They were very aggressive. Great posture, I thought, in terms of changing things, transitioning things from being a little bit of a defensive posture and keeping things so close to really going for it, something that we like to see from SAFC. And you're right, they came out of the locker room with that same type of energy, and I think ultimately that's what helped them create that first goal, is just that belief and that confidence.
And keeping this score where it is keeps the crowd in the game, keeps them alive and electric, and of course, that fuels so much of what San Antonio FC does on the pitch as well. Ojong, kind of a miscommunication there on the far touchline, results in a turnover. Wojciech, and does not do well with that. Been a frustrating first half for Wojciech.
Yeah, he won't be happy with that. Just kind of a wasted opportunity there on his left foot. He's carrying the ball forward. He's got some space, but he's well outside the 18-yard box. He never really gets through the ball, and that's what you see that lift is coming from. Certainly a disappointing effort from Wojciech.
A native of Poland, but he moved to Chicago at a young age. He was part of the Chicago Fire Academy and has had a real nice young career. He's one of their younger players on the roster. A lot of their players with several years of pro experience and actually several games of USL experience as well. Wallace One of those experience-minded players is wrapped up by Elizondo. And it's a free kick for OKC Energy FC. 2 minutes of stoppage time will be added on here at the end of the first half. Dixon chips one to the top of the 18. Ibiaga's there. Baril. Nice ball to the outside. Alex Dixon. Well defended by Omar Gordon. And the foul on Alex Dixon.
That's really good 1-versus-1 defending there from Omar Gordon against Alex Dixon in the bottom of the field there. Just on his own end line, didn't panic, good composure, was able to come out with possession. Those are the types of moments that you're going to have to see as this match continues for SAFC in order for them to be able to preserve this clean sheet, is that committed defending from everyone across the park.
And the opportunity now for Diego Restrepo to really just take his time and get San Antonio FC into the locker room up 1-0. And Gordon can't keep it alive on the touchline, and Energy FC will try one last time here before the end of the half. But this really sets up well for, I think, what Darren Powell and San Antonio FC want to do in the second 45 minutes. And for Jimmy Nielsen, it's a tough decision of whether he continues to go at the same pace or has to push it a little bit more in the second half.
Well, for me, what SAFC have to do coming out of the second half is try to continue to do a lot of what they've already done and not become too defensive with their posture, something sometimes we've seen them do in previous matches.
The San Antonio FC crowd at Toyota Field applauds their team's effort. 1-0 on Cesar Elizondo's goal early. Back with our halftime after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
When it needs to be ultra exciting, high-flying, non-stop action, San Antonio FC Soccer's got you covered. When it needs to be high-performing, hard-working, high-tech, super safe, built for comfort, and surprisingly affordable, Holt Cat has got you covered. With best-in-class cat-heavy equipment, engines, generators, and more, plus legendary service and support, and the largest parts inventory and distribution network in Texas. Kick it into high gear with Holt Cat.
I'm not the type to say any of this mushy garbage.
You know what? I'm going for it.
You are completely and utterly
Awesome.
I'm glad you showed up.
In my life. I think I'm about to cry. You better not.
Every single time I
Get down!
You always have
My back. My back.
It's really hard to describe. It's like all these tiny little things.
Yes, things.
Are actually friendship.
Halftime at Toyota Field. Cesar Elizondo has San Antonio FC up 1-0 over OKC Energy FC here in the USL Cup Playoffs Western Conference Semifinals. Well, technology has certainly evolved throughout the years, and its impact on sports has been felt even by San Antonio FC, as this year they were using GPS in training to help them advance to where they've gone this year.
So each player is hooked up to a GPS system, and what it does is it monitors how much you run, how fast you run, sprints, accelerations, decelerations, overall distance. It's very accurate with, I'd say, the physical physique of the individual and his performance output as we play, as we train.
The biggest thing for us, where it's been most beneficial, has been in that returning to training phase. So as we progressively reintegrate players from, for example, a soft tissue injury, how much is enough? How do we know? How do they respond then to that load? Well, we can say specifically what that physical cost is.
It can help with injury prevention, it can help with fitness, it can help with a lot of things in terms of the player's performance. So it's really beneficial to have it, rather than if you don't have it, then you're kind of guessing how much you run, or you're basing it off a fatigue scale just to say, I'm really tired. But if you get the results and the numbers, you can actually get very precise with what we want, what our desires are.
It doesn't necessarily change how we coach or what we do, but it allows us to investigate what is the physical cost of the work that we do on the field.
Once the session is done, I'll just take the raw data, put it into an Excel file, a huge database we've built, outputs graphs, helps us read things a little bit better, and helps us make training decisions for future sessions.
When you look around the world and you see teams using the system, I think it's important to remember the end goal is the performance. It's not numbers on a spreadsheet generated from technology. Technology can be used as a vehicle, but if you don't have the context of the sport to ask the right question, you're not going to find an answer just looking through the numbers. Anybody who's taken part in sport understands the different demands of different roles, and sometimes the different demands of different opponents. So being able to understand what that is relative to each individual and what they need to do, the investigation part moves to another level.
Pretty amazing what technology can do these days, and information is certainly power, especially in this sport. Our halftime from Toyota Field continues after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Many brackets have been busted following the first round of the 2017 USL Cup playoffs, as 3 top seeds fell during opening weekend, including 2 2017 record-setting teams. Friday night saw the number 8 seed Sacramento Republic FC take down the 2017 regular season champs, number 1 seed in the West, Real Monarchs SLC. After a scoreless first half, a 49th-minute goal from Luis Espinal silenced the crowd at Rio Tinto Stadium. But in the waning minutes of the game, Max Lakoecki was pulled down in the box, leading to a penalty kick for the Monarchs, with Chandler Hoffman finishing to pull the game even. 2 scoreless overtime periods took the game to penalty kicks. With a strong performance from goalkeeper Evan Newton, Sacramento Republic FC completed the upset over Real Monarchs SLC, taking the game 3-1 in penalty kicks. The lone upset in the Eastern Conference occurred by a large margin. The number 7 seed New York Red Bulls 2 shut out the number 2 seed Charleston Battery 4-0. The reigning USL Cup champs Red Bulls 2 outshot the Battery 15-12. The number 6 seed OKC Energy FC completed the 3rd and final upset of the weekend when they took down the number 3 seed Reno 1868 FC. Vucic smashed home the game winner in the 41st minute. Behind an impressive performance in goal from CJ Cochran, Energy FC were able to shut out the league's record-setting top offense. The field continues to narrow, and the playoffs continue to remind us how anything can happen when the stakes are raised. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
When it needs to be ultra exciting, high flying, non-stop action, San Antonio FC Soccer's got you covered. When it needs to be high performing, hard working, high tech, super safe, built for comfort, and surprisingly affordable, Holt Cat has got you covered. With best-in-class cat heavy equipment, engines, generators, and more, plus legendary service and support, and the largest parts inventory and distribution network in Texas. Kick it into high gear with Holt Cat.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Toyota trucks like the Tundra and Tacoma can take you pretty much anywhere. They can take you here, that place, way over there, even through this. But on game day, they take you to the most important place there is, the tailgate party. Come by the Toyota Tailgate event for a great deal on the Toyota Tundra or Tacoma. Trucks that'll take you pretty much anywhere. Toyota, let's go places.
San Antonio FC with a 1-0 lead, halftime here of the Western Conference Semifinals and the USL Cup playoffs. Second half coming up on the other side of this timeout here on Fox Sports Southwest.
I'm not the type to say any of this mushy garbage. You know what? I'm going for it.
You are completely and utterly
Awesome. I'm glad you showed up.
in my life.
I think I'm about to cry. You better not.
Every single time I
Get down!
You always have
My back.
It's really hard to describe. It's like all these tiny little things.
Yes, yes, things.
Are actually friendship.
Toyota trucks like the Tundra and Tacoma can take you pretty much anywhere. They can take you here, that place, way over there, even through this. But on game day, they take you to the most important place there is, the tailgate party. Come by the Toyota Tailgate event for a great deal on the Toyota Tundra or Tacoma. Trucks that'll take you pretty much anywhere. Toyota, let's go places.
Now visit buyatoyota.com. San Antonio FC with a 1-0 lead over OKC Energy FC here at the half at Toyota Field. It is the Western Conference Semifinals of the USL Cup playoffs. The number 2 seed San Antonio FC, the number 6 seed OKC Energy FC. A date with Swope Park Rangers awaits the winner. Let's take a look at the first half highlights, Lance. And it was an early strike and a break for San Antonio FC.
Yeah, you hear Cesar Elizondo do such a good job there of splitting the defender and just getting through that strike of the ball. Chad Bond left on the ground. He does a good job of getting through the ball, which is it's the power he creates that allows the ball to then trickle beyond the outstretched arms of Cochran there. And ultimately, that's the difference between the two teams there through the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, pretty even match. A helpless feeling for Cochran as that ball redirected off the back of Mickey Daly. Here's a look at the match stats in the first half. Look at that, Lance. 11 shots for OKC Energy FC, and I know only 3 of them are on target, but they had a lot of chances in the area in that first half.
They had a lot of chances in that they categorized them as shots. This is where it helps to be watching the match, but as you can tell, having gone through the first 45 minutes, none of them have been terribly challenging. And so while they have 11 that have recorded in the stat column, there's not a lot that Restrepo has had to do in terms of make any big-time saves, point-blank saves. The defenders have done a good job of keeping pressure on the ball, and a lot of those balls have just been ones that have come back and Restrepo's been able to claim relatively routinely.
We'll see how the second half transpires here as we get set for kickoff. Diego Restrepo making all 3 of his saves in the first half. And he's in the driver's seat along with San Antonio FC after 45 minutes. But Lance, you know, playoff soccer is a different animal.
Well, you're going to see a heightened sense of urgency here from OKC because as it stands right now, they're going home to the end of a season at the end of the next 45 minutes if they don't do something different. So my expectation is they're going to be patient, but they're going to be very assertive here in this next 45 minutes.
And the one thing San Antonio FC does so well, Lance, is defend. And they'll be pressured to certainly live up to that billing here in the second half, trying to protect this 1-0 lead and advance to the Western Conference Finals and a date with Swope Park Rangers, which would be here at Toyota Field should it happen. Elizondo lobs this into a danger area, and CJ Cochran just a little hesitant, but was able to strike that one forward. Elizondo trying to slip this one through for Ever Guzman, but Mickey Daly was there to get back. And a good tackle there by Pekka to win the ball away, and San Antonio FC back on the attack. Forbes, the service into the area. Billy starting on the right side here in the second half against Kyle Hyland after battling Richard Dixon in the first half.
Be interesting to see what they do, and if this is to try to create some attacking presence coming inside those seams, either side of the 2 central defenders, but also starting a little narrower. Both Gordon and Billy, and I don't know if that's by design. We'll wait and see how that plays out, but a little narrower here in terms of their starting positions.
Jose Barril will push forward here for the Energy. Miguel Gonzalez returns it to Barril. And just a bad touch trying to go to Angulo on the combination.
One of the things you spoke about just as we started the second half is how well SAFC defends, and they certainly do, but so much of their defensive presence starts with their attacking capability, because the opposition has to manage the personnel that SAFC have running at them with the ball in possession, creating dangerous situations, and so that requires them to bring more numbers back, and that's where their defense starts. And so what's important for SAFC to not do, or to avoid, if you will, is to avoid assuming a holistically defensive posture. Let's just put it that way, where everything they do is based around the defensive side of the ball, because if they do that, they could be in for a long 45 minutes. They've got to continue to step out and get pressure on the ball. They've got to make sure they get numbers behind the ball, but don't forget to get the pressure. That's something that hurt them last week.
As this one is headed on, and what a save by Diego Restrepo at the last moment, flinching out that left hand to knock the ball out of bounds.
That's a fantastic save. That's Angulo just doing a good job. He gets across the face here, which you want your attacking players to do. Get across the face of the defender. McCarthy didn't play it poorly, but really backed off a little bit right there at the final moment. And Angulo just slipped across and redirected it just inside the frame. It took a fantastic save to keep that out and to keep this game from going 1-1.
Fifth corner of the match here for OKC Energy FC. Wallace for the service. Short again, into the area. Down went an Energy player. It was Wojciech. San Antonio FC on the counter.
Good foul there by Mickey Daly. Almost not certain that he intended to foul him, but it was thankful that he did for OKC, and that SAFC were really out on the break.
Let's check in with Anya Rosales down on the field. Anya?
Yes, Dan, I talked to Coach coming out of the locker room at half. He said he really saw the momentum change after they scored their first goal. And he told the team that they just need to impose themselves on the OKC Energy, and that in the attacking third that they need to just connect and create better chances for themselves. But he definitely said that momentum shift after we scored the goal, that's where they really needed to start to impose themselves on the Energy.
Thanks, Anya. You know, similar to San Antonio FC last Saturday night when Tulsa scored the goal, the momentum shifted to San Antonio. Omar Gordon, a wrestling match there with Richard Dixon, and face washed him there with a right hand.
The right decision to award the free kick to SAFC. Dixon found himself in a bad spot, the wrong side of Gordon, in possession. Did everything he could to keep him back. And a little extra attempt to persuade the referee.
Who again, Guido Gonzalez Jr. has done a nice job tonight managing this match. So San Antonio FC on the free kick here. Gordon. Wojciech got under it just ahead there of Ibiaga inside the 6. Now Sebastian's got to get back in a hurry into his defensive position, and Burrill loses the ball over the touchline.
Really been a tough night for Burrill so far. Just hasn't really seemed to find his rhythm in the match.
Just simple plays seem to be out of sync tonight for this Energy FC team that, you know, probably during any other match of the regular season isn't a problem. Here's Miguel Gonzalez on a nice move back to the inside. Ojong went down, as here is Burrill. Slips it for Wojciech just outside the area. Back into the box, and what a save again by Restrepo guarding that near post.
And Anya just got through talking about momentum here. As you're observing the match here, you're undoubtedly starting to feel a little bit of a momentum swing in favor of OKC. You know, from that angle, if Restrepo doesn't extend himself there, there's a good chance that ball sneaks inside that near post from a very, very difficult angle from Wojciech. And another corner here for OKC tonight.
They continue to go with Wallace, who has struggled on these corner set pieces. And another short one, and it's out of the area. Burrell. Richard Dixon. Energy trying to collapse into the box. San Antonio FC as well. Burrell will come along on the outside, but it was Omar Gordon there to follow him the whole way.
Tremendous effort there from Burrell to make that overlapping run from that central location, but it's all part of a real commitment that OKC have come out in this second half to attack, to get themselves into position to score goals, which is something they obviously have to do in order to change the movement of this game or the direction of this game. And SAFC really having to defend a lot in and around their own 18-yard box, something that you don't want to spend the entire 45 minutes doing that, but thus far they've been pinned there.
I was going to say, you don't want to get comfortable defending. You certainly want to force the issue on your opponent, even when you're ahead.
Well, it's a fine line, not stretching yourself out from a shape standpoint and getting too big of spaces between players and too big of spaces between lines. So wanting to stay relatively compact overall, whether you're attacking or defending. But the flip side of that is if you do so and you don't create some of those spaces and you don't start to stretch them out in their defensive shape, then that's when you find yourself defending and defending and defending some more.
Some good offensive options on the bench for Jimmy Nielsen here in the second half. He's got the former Seattle Sounder forward Andy Craven, Juan Pablo Guzman as well, and Daniel Gonzalez, who's the younger brother of Miguel Gonzalez. All available options on the bench here in the second half for Jimmy Nielsen, who he's got a bit of an exasperated face there. He knows these are tight matches with San Antonio FC, but he's never found himself down 1-0 at the half going into the second half, and it's a different philosophy and strategy for the White Puma.
Good patience there from McCarthy. There you see Ryan Roshandle coming back in to the back of midfield to find possession between the two central defenders. Pretty nicely textured ball there, bending away into Omar Gordon. Something I know the staff really appreciate about McCarthy is his ability to serve different types of balls. That's such an important thing to be able to do as a central defender.
Chad Bond trying to return it to Angulo. They don't connect. San Antonio FC has some room on the counter. Billy Forbes has to come back to this ball from Pekka, and now we'll push forward. Ricochets back upfield. Ibiaga's got pressure coming from behind by Angulo, who stayed high there, but there's some good footwork there by Ibiaga to work it back. And now Roshandle. Omar Gordon had to get back into an onside position there, and it's going to be, I think, a throw in here for San Antonio FC. And they're going to, let's see, they're going to award a corner.
I think it's going to be a throw.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a throw,
Took
too.
a little deflection there.
Yeah.
Dixon doing a good job of working back all the way to his own end line to not concede the corner. That last ball out from Pekka, as you see Billy Forbes accelerating into that space on the right-hand side.
Service in, intended for Guzman. Anthony Wallace got up top. Kyle Hyland wins the ball. Right to Marc Ojong, though. Ojong lobs one over goal. 57th minute at Toyota Field, along with Lance Key, Anya Rosales, and our entire Fox Sports Southwest crew. I'm Dan Weiss. Pleasure to have you along. Western Conference Semifinals. The winner advances to meet Swope Park Rangers. San Antonio FC scoring in the 8th minute. Cesar Elizondo. 6th goal of the season, 2nd in as many matches.
Really good defensive organization there. Not allowing OKC really to find anything easy in possession to play forward. And force Anthony Wallace to try to find that diagonal service to that weak side, but just not a quality enough ball to be able to do so effectively. Something I've been impressed with both sides tonight is just their commitment to defend and stay organized. You know, we talked about the shot advantage at halftime, and I think that probably paints a little bit of a different picture than the reality is. because neither team are really giving many good quality chances away.
Burrell went down. Elizondo into the final third. Lifts one over the top. Ever Guzman, and the flag is up. Now, this place was about to explode for Ever Guzman, because when he's been in that tight of quarters as of late, the ball's been in the back of the net.
Absolutely. He's so dangerous, making these little entry runs into the 18-yard box. Great overlapping run here from Ojong, which created the space for Elizondo to come back inside, and a very crafty bit of play there to scoop the ball up and over the top of Mickey Daly. Just unfortunately a little bit off on the timing between the service and the run, but you like the creativity in that.
Late foul called. It seemed like Guido Gonzalez Jr. was going to let that one go, and then after a couple of seconds, blew the whistle.
Might have received a little bit of encouragement from one of his 3 assistants tonight. I think it probably could have been a foul. His inclination was to let it go, but he probably received a little bit of input there from an assistant saying that was a foul, let's give that to SAFC.
Well, I think because if you let that go, then you're inviting more things to happen in this half, and there still has to be a precedent set of the way the game's going to be called.
And as tightly contested as all of these matches between these two organizations have been. Even remembering back to last year, a big tussle here right in the goal mouth between these two sides.
Gordon down in the area. Not enough contact or a penalty for San Antonio FC.
And a dangerous scenario here created out of it.
And here we go. Anthony Dixon into the box. That's well defended by Ibiaga getting back. That was that counter for OKC Energy FC, that sneaky counter we talked about, Lance, that San Antonio FC thinking that they might have an attack on the aggressive play there, and back the other way came Energy with an opportunity. Kyle Hyland now will settle this ball down. That's Burrell down, I think, in the middle of the field there for Energy. No, it's not. It's Wojciech.
And that's 2 times in a row. SAFC have played forward to Ever Guzman, and just with a single touch, he's tried to redirect the ball. We talked earlier about what a good job he does in terms of retaining possession. It's got to go back to that. It's got to go back to that.
Contact from Richard Dixon. This is what happened to Vucek Wojciech, whose legs get tangled up with Stephen McCarthy there.
That was just a very good, strong tackle from McCarthy.
You see that brace that Vucek Wojciech is wearing on his left arm? He fractured his elbow in a game back in June and made his return after an extended absence against San Antonio in mid-August. But in that game, Lance, that he fractured his elbow, he scored 2 goals.
He's a tough player and certainly an integral piece for OKC's success.
Kyle Hyland with a cross and headed away from danger, but nearly a poor ball from Billy Forbes was taken away by Jose Burrell. Forbes keeps it alive on the touchline, and Wojciech will come back underneath.
Again, these moments, that's a couple of times from Ever Guzman, a couple of times there from Billy Forbes. It's so important in order to manage this match and manage the rhythm of this match with as much defending as SAFC are having to do, they've got to be able to retain possession as the ball comes out, allow numbers to get in and around them, and start to build the ball into their own attacking third of the field. Otherwise,
has an opportunity there, and just misfiring again was Angulo. Well, it was a rare miss by Stephen McCarthy trying to head that one out, and it landed right at the feet of Angulo, who turned and fired.
Just a lot of pace in the bend of that ball coming from the right-hand side, and just got there faster than McCarthy could. But that's exactly the situation that you become concerned about as an SAFC supporter or player tonight, is finding yourself in that position where you're just defending, and you're never really able to get out of that posture. And so these are the chances that you begin to become concerned about, and you don't want to give chances like that to Angulo. You don't want to give chances like that to Wojciech. You don't want to give chances like that to Burrell. You just cannot afford to give up those opportunities in around the edge of the 18-yard box to these types of players, because they're ultimately going to punish you if you continue to do so.
Kyle Hyland. Return ball in the direction of Miguel Gonzalez, but it will come back for Diego Restrepo.
And a time to compliment Sebastian Ibeagha. He's done a really good job. You've seen him. All of these balls that are coming in, he's found himself really in good positioning to be able to defend and manage. And it's that type of positioning that's going to keep SAFC in the position of being up a goal. But he's got to get that collective effort from everyone on the defensive side of the ball, and they've got to get a better effort from the attacking players in the advanced positions in this shape to keep and build with that possession.
We'll see our first substitution of the match here in the 64th minute. It will be for OKC Energy FC. Jonathan Brown, number 17, will come on for Alex Dixon. Brown was a late summer addition to OKC Energy FC, appearing in 10 matches, including last week's match. 4 starts. A goal for him here, the native of Wales. And Alex Dixon's night is done. Get the best seats at Toyota Field with the 2018 San Antonio FC season membership. Packages start at just $180. Get exclusive events with the team, gifts, ticket exchange program, and more. Visit sanantoniofc.com for details. 64 minutes in the books. 26 minutes remaining in our 90. San Antonio FC up 1-0. Scoring in the 8th minute of the match, Cesar Elizondo off of the back of Mickey Daly, past a helpless CJ Cochran for OKC Energy FC. And we will see our first substitution for San Antonio FC as Michael Reed, who turns 31 years old today, turns 30 years old today, will come in the match for Ryan Rashandle. The captain of this team will make his appearance in the 65th minute for Ryan Rashandle, as San Antonio FC tries to go a little bit more defensive-minded here to try to see this result through in the final 25 minutes, Lance.
Yeah, Michael Reed was a major catalyst last week. That counterattack that ultimately led to the goal last week came through Michael Reed from Diego Restrepo. Obviously a fantastic player. He's had a great impact on this team, a great impact on the season. Has the respect of the players.
Forbes, can he get to the ball? He cannot. Cochran will clear this one into the seats.
And so not only are you going in with a player that's got a real strong defensive presence, but also a player, he's a two-sided player. He can play both directions, but he also has that kind of presence, that leadership presence. And so that's certainly what they're looking for in the SAFC staff, and bringing him in here in the 66th minute to try to bring some stability. We've lost a little bit of that rhythm, a little bit of that posture, as I like to say, here in the second half. And a player like Michael Reed can help restore that for a side.
Great turn by Omar Gordon. Great service into the box, just a little too far for Elizondo, but it's Billy Forbes still with it. Elizondo knocked away from him. Watch out now for Barilla on the counter here for Energy. Pekka stride for stride with him. And a good job stepping forward by Marco Zhang to win the ball away.
That's a better job from Guzman. As Mickey Daly comes right through the back of Cesar Elizondo.
Quick push here for Guzman. Cochran will get to the ball. Just a little too hard on that touch there for Guzman. But you're right, Lance, they had OKC napping, and now Guzman's down in the area. Meanwhile, OKC Energy is on the attack the other way with Wojciech. As Ever Guzman gets back up, here's Baril out of space in front of him, trying to create from about 25 yards out. Well, Guzman's able to come back, but he's hobbling a little bit. Slipped into the area, and Restrepo will get there.
Great organization there again from SAFC, really not allowing OKC to find anything. Here we see the other direction. Cesar Elizondo fouled against him, got up quickly, saw that there was an option to play forward. Mickey Daly had come out of that central defender position and no one recovered underneath him. So a great decision to play quickly there. And Everett Guzman was all for it. He was in position, he was prepared. He just took a poor preparation and ultimately played right into Cochran there. But something you certainly wouldn't expect from an Everett Guzman. You expect he's going to be clinical in that situation. Unfortunately for SAFC, the difference between going up 2-0 and clinging to a very tight lead.
That was a handball, and Omar Gordon will set up this free kick here for Anthony Wallace right in front of Jimmy Nielsen. Bends this one into the area. Viaga gets under it. Chad Bond, and well wide of goal there on that touch by Bond. So there's been some tenser moments here in the second half, Lance, for San Antonio FC on their defensive end of the field. CJ Cochran may have just kept his team in the game there. As we said, Lance, initially Darren Powell didn't think there were going to be a lot of chances. You and I certainly thought this was going to be played close to the vest by both teams tonight. We've really gotten a different game, I think, than either club may have anticipated, and that might have been one of those opportunities that San Antonio FC needed to finish. We'll see whether it comes back to hurt them. Wallace.
Yeah, these tight matches, you never count on having loads of chances. OKC have had a couple of good ones. Anguilla himself has had a couple of good ones just this half alone. And Diego Restrepo has been up for the challenge. And you've got to think in a match like this, going back to that Everett Guzman chance, if it goes 2-0, what's the chance of OKC coming back and scoring 3 on the road in the last 20 minutes? Not great. But as it stays 1-0, the momentum that they've had, what they've been able to create in the attacking third of the field, is certainly of concern right now for those in attendance here tonight.
Well, I was going to say, it was festive in the first half, getting that opening goal. But now it's getting tense in the second half. It feels a lot like it did last Saturday night when SAFC was trailing. And now with the lead, but sensing the pressure from the visitors here in the second half. And Diego Restrepo is being told, let's get going. He's been yellow carded for this before, over the course of the season, lollygagging as I like to call it.
It's called game management. We'll go that direction.
McCarthy.
But also lollygagging.
Lollygagging, I don't know. Michael Reed for Billy Forbes. Kept it alive on the touchline. Forbes on Richard Dixon. Dixon played him well. Back for Michael Reed, the birthday boy.
Really good there from Billy Forbes. He was, unlucky there. It was great from him because he could easily have tried to play that ball, just slide that ball in along the end line, which is either probably going to go out for a goal kick or be in the hands of the goalkeeper. But good decision to bring it out, exercise a little patience, go back through Michael Reed. Just unfortunate not to connect on that switch of play out to Marco Jean.
Ibiaga wasn't letting Angulo get anywhere. You're right. Angulo, with the chances he's had tonight, especially with a guy who's got 15 goals on the season, it's been dangerous for him with an opportunity to bury, and he's been off tonight, as have some of the other OKC Energy FC players in this one.
And the times that he's been on, Restrepo's just been more on. He's did a great job of saving that ball just inside the near post earlier in the half. Certainly a very dangerous goal scorer. We've talked about that throughout the broadcast. Angulo at any point in time, at any moment.
Richard Dixon getting upfield here on the right flank to the outside. It's Jonathan Brown just into the game. McCarthy. San Antonio FC with contact there. And we're going to get Anthony Wallace going into the books here, or Richard Dixon rather.
Yeah, that's a couple of times earlier against Omar Gordon, that time against Billy Forbes. Really did a nice job. Really wasn't in great position. I don't think really wanted the ball in that position, but did a nice job of just squaring him up. Little nutmeg to get it on the other side. And the defender did everything he could to make sure Billy didn't get through. But as a result of that being the second time already this half, he goes in the books.
That's the matchup we highlighted at the top of the broadcast tonight, Forbes and Dixon. And the first time Dixon really gets frustrated by what Billy Forbes can do. So he's in the books here in the 73rd minute with a yellow card. San Antonio FC maintaining their 1-0 lead over OKC Energy FC here in the second half. Forbes now on the attack to the outside. Cesar Elizondo with a little bit of space. Dixon watching him. Dixon's got to be careful.
In really important moments, we talked earlier about not becoming too defensive and not settling for that posture in the defensive half of the field. These are important moments. This last time up with Billy Forbes, this time here with Cesar Elizondo. These spells of possession for SAFC are going to be very, very important in terms of preserving and managing this game here in this final 16, 17 minutes. Gives that back line a little bit of a break to recollect not only themselves physically, but also mentally, reorganize.
Mickey Daly. Ojong gets upstairs. So too does Omar Gordon. Great combination. Guzman settles. Billy Forbes, a lot of space out there on the left flank. Billy with a burst of speed into the box. Burrell had to come over to defend. And a corner for San Antonio FC, just their second of the match.
Really good there between Marco Zhang, Omar Gordon, Cesar Elizondo, Ever Guzman out to Billy Forbes the other side. Just a really good organization and connection there in possession to be able to get the ball into that dangerous area. And it really took some fantastic recovery defending from Jose Burrell, who hasn't been special really on either side of the ball thus far, to come back and preserve that for OKC.
Omar Gordon's delivery into the box is cleared by Vucek Wojciech. Upfield for Jonathan Brown, who makes the turn on Cochran. Tries to push forward, but Cochran is able to get back and return it to Diego Restrepo.
Really well defended there from Cochran. Isolated out on that right side touchline for OKC.
Wojciech just outside the box. Sends it across to Kyle Hyland. Hyland strike! Went through a crowd wide of goal. And another OKC Energy FC player down on the pitch back upfield.
Really caught that pretty well, did Kyle Hyland. Playing it back where it came from, back across the face of goal. Makes a much more dangerous finishing attempt, much more difficult to manage from the goalkeeper. It was something similar to that Cesar Elizondo deflected into the back of the net last week.
That's Burrell who's down on the field, and Lance, I think you'd agree, he's been better in the second half.
Much better, much better. And he's a player that OKC really need to be, they need him to be on his game. They need him to be an integral piece of everything they do going both directions.
Get the best seats at Toyota Field with the 2018 San Antonio FC season membership. Packages start at just $180. Get exclusive events with the team, gifts, ticket exchange program, and more. Visit sanantoniofc.com for details. 77th minute. Lance, the point you made before about posture and possession opportunity for San Antonio FC, I think that's been felt by this crowd at Toyota Field. They were a little tense before, but now they've kind of picked back up in some festive celebration because I think they feel San Antonio FC is starting to take control of the match again.
They can, and they respond. This is certainly a crowd that responds to the game. It's it seems to be a pretty educated crowd ordinarily from night to night. And they love their SAFC team, and they love to see them in this type of situation. They start to get confidence as the match grows. They've certainly done that tonight. You can start to feel and hear that energy increase there for a moment. I wasn't sure if it was the temperature was cooling down or if they were just beginning to get a little bit nervy, if you will. But certainly an engaged crowd.
Elizondo making the turn, but that one well wide of goal for Cesar, who's got maybe the biggest goal in San Antonio FC history right now. He's got him 13 minutes away from the Western Conference Final against Swope Park Rangers.
think Cesar Elizondo was just doing his best there to get the crowd on the pitch. If that had gone in.
Wojciech and Highland miscommunication. Again, just little things out of sync tonight for OKC Energy FC. They're so good organizationally. They're so good in their form that tonight they're making simple mistakes you wouldn't expect a veteran team to make, like in the playoffs. Wojciech.
And not really big glaring mistakes, Dan, but just little rhythm things. However, credit to SAFC, because what they've done to manage the game thus far, now they were fortunate with the strike of Cesar Elizondo to take that deflection in, but what they've done in terms of managing, in particular their shape, and staying tight and organized throughout the course of the match is a major contributing factor to OKC just being slightly out of rhythm.
That's off the hand of Angulo. Another area.
On the other hand, that's just, no pun intended, that's just shortness of concentration there.
Burrill, who was able to continue after hitting the pitch moments ago. Anthony Wallace.
Good team defending, and then again there you see Michael Reed shifting across to sew up that passing lane, and there's just nothing really available for OKC to be able to build through. So you see them playing these 30, these 40, these 50-yard services that are more hopeful.
In the 80th minute, Daniel Gonzalez, the younger brother of Miguel Gonzalez, will come on for Chad Bond here for the final 10 minutes of the match. .24 appearances for Daniel Gonzalez this season, 2 goals. Chad Bond, more of a holding defensive midfielder, but they need offense right now. Burrill slips one through to Wojciech. Turn to the outside for Highland. Some contact from Ojong will result in a foul. More of the reaction maybe than the initiation, Lance?
I think so. I think so. There wasn't a whole lot of contact there. But Highland trying to do everything he can to award his team an opportunity for a free service into the 18-yard box, which is always dangerous.
That was a great delivery by Wallace that time. Back out it'll come. Richard Dixon lofts it in. Settled down by Mickey Daly, and the clearance there for San Antonio FC. Dixon. Pekka trying to make the tackle, but he worked it right to Wojciech. Miguel Gonzalez. Here's Wojciech with an opportunity. It looked like did it go off? Angulo was trying to redirect it, perhaps. San Antonio FC will push it out.
I think Angulo was trying to get out of the way of it. And just the location of where it arrived, he couldn't do much about it.
It's the opposite way of a redirection there. As you're right, I think again it just went off Angulo. By some space offered there to Wojciech, just outside the box.
He's not a player you want to afford that space. Coming onto the frame of goal there, in and around the edge of the 18-yard box. He's very capable of finding the back of the net from there.
Another free kick here for Wallace. Shallow service outside the area. Saved on the outside by Miguel Gonzalez. Burrill, Dixon, Gonzalez, edge of the box. It's going to be a corner here for OKC Energy FC.
Tension increasing here.
I exactly was going to make that point. I feel like we're going right back the other way.
Well, this now the third free service into the box here in the last 90 seconds for OKC.
Headed down, loose ball in the area, cleared away from danger. San Antonio FC trying to counter. Poked away from Elizondo, or rather Ever Guzman. And it's a San Antonio FC throw in here in the 83rd minute. And an injured San Antonio FC player on the pitch.
Down. Set pieces can be so important, so instrumental in these tightly contested matches, certainly playoff time. You see it at any level of the game.
Here.
And something that SAFC have to be cautious about.
Here comes a man who I know certainly has not been forgotten by San Antonio FC fans, but he has not played since August 12th. Rafa Castillo, the 37-year-old, will make his first playoff appearance for San Antonio FC.
16.
Rafa Castillo has been a very, very important piece of professional soccer here in San Antonio, from the transition from the Scorpions now over to SAFC. He's such a hard-working player. He's got the respect of the guys in the locker room because of the type of commitment he has to the cause. And so although he's been out for a little while, if he steps out to play now, you can rest assured he's going to give you everything he's got.
Now, Rafa was set to come in, and now he's sitting back down again as Pekka continues. So hold the phone. Meanwhile, Angulo and Baril on the combination along the outside. Angulo into the box, head in! We're even at one, the equalizer for OKC Energy FC as Vucek Wojcik has tied the game in the 85th minute.
Just giving them a little bit too much space to serve that ball into the box. We talked about their ability in the air and these services that are coming in. Just too much space out here. Great job of working across the face of McCarthy. You're gonna see that run from the weak side. He's just gonna get across the face here. Fantastic run, fantastic header. Not much you can do about that as a goalkeeper. Although he was close, it was just a fantastic finish.
Wojcik had their goal against Reno last week in their upset over 1868, and what a goal for the 25-year-old in the 85th minute. His 5th marker of the season. He got up top, and we mentioned him in the first half as a man that they would try to target here, and all of a sudden, we're back even at 1. Shades of what happened here in July, when San Antonio FC led 1-0 all the way into stoppage time before Miguel Gonzalez equalized for OKC Energy FC.
Well, at the risk of saying it again, I'm going to anyway. The longer that you defend and continue to hold that positioning, and you've got 9 or 10 players inside your own 18-yard box, and the longer you continue to allow them to have free services into the box, you're just playing with fire, as they say. And you can't afford to do that because of the types of personnel, the Angulo, the Vucek Wojcik, these types of players, they're so dangerous, and all they need is one chance. All they need is one moment.
San Antonio FC with the throw-in. And now it's interesting, Lance, that Rafa Castillo did not come on as the second substitute for San Antonio FC, because now with 30 more minutes potentially looming, that has to change the game plan for Darren Powell too. And maybe it wasn't a night where we would have seen Chris Tierpak, but maybe now all of a sudden it is.
Well, it certainly opens up some different possibilities.
Tierpak has been a menace to OKC Energy FC in his career. Jonathan Brown with a run. That's just over Diego Restrepo. Lance, the history for San Antonio FC against OKC Energy FC, they have been close, but they have been denied a win in all 6 of their matches. And have they been denied one here potentially, at least for now, from Wojciech?
Well, if anyone thought one team or the other was going to coast into a result, they would have been wrong. Clearly the history shows us that. And clearly tonight is showing us that. I mean, you just see the persistence and the resiliency of this OKC team just continuing to push forward. No real panic. They've done a nice job in the second half here of keeping the ball and putting themselves in good positions to score. And ultimately, the chance they needed fell. And here we find ourselves very late in this match. All evened up at 1.
Energy on the counter. Burrell to the outside. A lot of room for Angulo there. Defended by Ojong. Nice play by Ojong. Boy, he really cut off the angle on Angulo. Wouldn't let him get to the inside.
Yeah, did a real nice job there. Did Ojong out here, isolated in a 1v1.
Lance
exercised the patience he needed to and ultimately won the ball back.
We go back to Ever Guzman's opportunity earlier in the half off the set piece when he slipped behind the defense. And probably 9 times out of 10, that's a goal for Ever. And again, to your point, 2-0 at that point for San Antonio FC. Might be an entirely different game.
It undoubtedly would have been an entirely different match. But unfortunately for SAFC, they didn't capitalize. We talked about how opportunistic he is, thinking that that was going to come through him over the course of the match. And that would have certainly been a moment characteristic of his skill set. But it's ifs and buts, and here we are at 1-1, just closing in on the last minute of the 90 allotted.
San Antonio FC will be awarded a free kick here. The drums are still banging, the crowd's still chanting. It's not as loud as it was 5 minutes ago when San Antonio FC and their fans felt they were on the precipice of getting to the Western Conference Final.
What a great ball from McCarthy there.
Cochran behind Forbes. Reed steps up on this. And it's Burrell who will get the clearance out.
And that's not what you want to see for SAFC, your central defender being caught in possession on the carry.
Danny Gonzalez took it away. Here's Wojciech. Looking in the direction of Miguel Gonzalez, picked off by Ojong. San Antonio FC will go the other direction now. Omar Gordon will put it off Burrell and a throw-in for San Antonio FC. We'll have 3 minutes of added time here in the second half. If there is no goal over the next 3 minutes, we'll have extra time, 30 minutes, 2 15-minute halves. San Antonio FC is going to be awarded a free kick on the foul by Wojciech. Not a lot of free kicks from dangerous areas tonight, Lance. And this one's kind of straight away for San Antonio FC, even though it's a little bit deep for an opportunity to go for goal.
Yeah, you're not going to see Michael Reed attempt for a finish on frame from this distance. And it's just far enough for him to be able to work with some angles. Depend a little bit on the movement of the attacking players.
And now the crowd gets back into it as they rise to their feet. Reed service into the box. Cochran climbs the ladder over Sebastian Igbiaga, who was there.
And now for SAFC, you see your 2 central defenders caught high on the wrong side of the ball here. Here's a replay. McCarthy never had a chance, went to ground straight away.
A turnover by Energy. Elizondo can't get it to Forbes, however, and now it's Burrell on the counter. Cutting back the other way along with Danny Gonzalez. They'll play to the outside. Wojciech. It's Jonathan Brown. That's going to be a corner for Energy here in stoppage time. It's their 8th corner of the match.
Jonathan Brown's been a bit of a menace out there on the SAFC left-hand side. Giving Cochran lots to do here late in this match. Winning a corner here. Yet another corner for OKC, yet another free service. So dangerous.
Anthony Wallace has got to take it right into the supporters' corner there. Headed out of danger there from Michael Reed. Billy Forbes taken down. Play on, says the referee. Delivered back into the area. Restrepo is there. Listen to this crowd roar at Toyota Field. In a rivalry that has been so even over 2 years, it appears extra time and perhaps penalties will decide who moves on. Omar Gordon into the box just beyond Ever Guzman, who was going to try to flick that one home. And we will have extra time in the Western Conference Semifinals. 30 more minutes. Ever Guzman this close to sending San Antonio FC to the Western Conference Final.
Great bit of skill here from Omar Gordon. A fantastic service, exactly where you want it. Away from the keeper across the face of the 6-yard box. And Ever Guzman just not able to redirect it.
Extra time coming up at Toyota Field when we return after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
I'm not the type to say any of this mushy garbage. You know what? I'm going for it.
You are completely and utterly
Awesome. I'm glad you showed up.
in my life.
I think I'm about to cry. You better not.
Every single time I
Get down!
you always have
My back. My back.
It's really hard to describe. It's like all these tiny little things
Yes, yes, things.
are actually friendship.
Toyota trucks like the Tundra and Tacoma can take you pretty much anywhere. They can take you here, that place, way over there, even through this. But on game day, they take you to the most important place there is, the tailgate party. Come by the Toyota Tailgate event for a great deal on the Toyota Tundra or Tacoma. Trucks that'll take you pretty much anywhere. Toyota, let's go places.
Extra time at Toyota Field here in this second of 2 Western Conference semifinals in the USL Cup playoffs. San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC even at 1 goal apiece. Lance, let's take a look at the goals from this matchup tonight, and there were 2 very different finishes in this game.
Very different finishes. We talked about the SAFC goal early. Cesar Elizondo doing a great job of creating some space and really getting through the strike of the ball to push it past Cochran. They're pretty early in the match. And then very late in the match here, you see a free service into the box from the run of play this time. And just what a fantastic finish it was. Clinical for an off-the-ball striker, getting across the face of the defender to get good contact and redirect that on frame. Nothing that Restrepo could do really in that situation.
Elizondo and Wojciech, the goal scorers in this one, sends us to extra time, which is not sudden death. In the USL Cup playoffs, we'll have 2 15-minute halves, so we'll play to 120 minutes, and if there is no goal or no winner, we should say, after 120 minutes, because both teams can score in this time. If we are still even, we'll head to penalties to decide who heads on to the Western Conference Finals next week.
And certainly the potential for a lot of momentum swing. SAFC really were clinging to that lead for much of the game, not really creating any great scoring opportunities, save the goal that they were able to convert. And OKC continuing to push and to push and to push and to find opportunities. We talked about some of the saves that Restrepo made that kept them in the game. Really couldn't do anything about the one to equalize, but you wonder what it does for OKC on the road late in this match in a moment where everyone thought we were just minutes away from the end and likely SAFC going through as the winners at home. now completely changes the dynamics of the match.
And what does it do for San Antonio FC, who knows in the back of their mind that they have never beaten OKC Energy?
Well, you're talking about professionals, so in the end, you're imploring your players as a staff. You're saying, look, guys, we've done a lot of things very well to get here. Nothing has really separated us from the other over the course of the last couple of years. It's tightly contested, just as we thought it would be. In the end, we've just got some extra time to play. And so we've got to continue to go out and do what we decided we were going to do tonight, what was going to help us to be successful. We've got to recommit to that even more so than we did in the second half in order for us to get the result here. Let's do what we can to make sure it doesn't go to penalties at the end. Let's take care of it within this 30-minute frame.
The first of two 15-minute halves of extra time are underway, with Anya Rosales and Lance Key, along with our entire Fox Sports Southwest crew, Dan Weiss from Toyota Field. The second of two Western Conference Semifinals in the USL Cup playoffs needs extra time to decide a winner. Vucek Wojciech will play ahead. OKC Energy FC has used 2 of their allotted 3 substitutions. San Antonio FC has only used 1. They were close to using a second, Lance. Rafa Castillo looked like he was going to come on for Pekka in the final couple of minutes, but Pekka was able to continue.
Preserving that other option is always nice when you're stepping into what you know is going to be 30 minutes. You don't know where you're going to need it. So just to have the availability of 2 is significant. At this point, though, electing to stay as is, which you would expect.
Elizondo makes the turn. Guarded by Jonathan Brown, and he defends well. San Antonio FC will have the throw-in. Again, there is no golden goal here in the USL Cup playoffs. So 2 15-minute halves. So even if one side concedes early, there's still time. Ojang, oh, nice little stop and start move on the outside. Delivery into the box goes off Elizondo. Reed steps up. Tries to slip this one to Billy Forbes and defend it away. Cochran nearly lost his footing, but he gets back up on the ball as he gives to Pekka. Forbes along the outside. Into the box, slipped through, and Kyle Highland is there to clear.
Ever Guzman again, the ball entering into his space there inside the 18-yard box and really not being as effective as you would expect him to be. Decent early ball from Billy Forbes to challenge him. See a little bit of patience from both sides here. OKC still setting their 4-4-2. SAFC really still in their sort of 4-1-4-1, but at the same time, almost a 4-1-1-4. Both wide players pressing high and really wide, creating a lot of space there centrally for Pekka, for Michael Reed. Elizondo pushing high and alongside Guzman. You'd like to see, can he come back in and find the ball in midfield and create that numerical advantage we talked about earlier.
Gordon. Guzman in the box. And the foul will be against Guzman. I was going to say, Lance, that in the absence now of Chad Bond, that I think can enable Michael Reed to push a little bit forward from his midfield position and be a little bit more aggressive. He doesn't have to sit back with Pekka here in extra time.
Yeah, well, what will not work is if we see what really we just saw there, which is left to right, Billy Forbes, Cesar Elizondo, Ever Guzman, and Omar Gordon across that back line of OKC, because it's too stagnant. You might be pressing numbers 4, and they're all dangerous, but they're all playing with their back to goal. There's not a whole lot of mobility to it, so you're not stretching the defensive shape of OKC. That in and of itself is not going to, just by virtue of having numbers, is not going to be effective in breaking down this OKC line here late in the game, knowing that they're always so well organized. It's that movement that's going to stretch things.
Good ball to the outside for Cochran. Quick touch to Billy Forbes. Left the ball behind him. Jonathan Brown came on as a late substitute and really worked well on the outside. Gonzalez back to his brother.
Good composure, good technique, good decisions here from OKC to keep possession through tight space.
Wojciech was looking to see that one through. San Antonio FC will take the throw-in. Elizondo's ball was easily anticipated there by Richard Dixon.
You like what SAFC are trying to do there. They're trying to play out to that weak side against the touchline. The problem is the service just hasn't been quite good enough tonight to really capitalize on that 1-versus-1 scenario. Lots of balls being cut out, which are really dangerous balls because those are the types of balls that end up in counterattacks. If they get there, they're great. If they don't get there, they're very dangerous going the other direction.
Reed, Elizondo. The defense collapses on him, and he concedes possession. And now Wallace for Kyle Highland along the outside. 6th minute, moving into the 7th minute of extra time. Dixon lofts this one along, Angulo under it. Makes the turn, Angulo! Great save on the pitch by Diego Restrepo.
Well done by Diego Restrepo there. Not particularly excited about those two central defenders being caught in that situation. Really should manage that a lot better than they did. I think both of them were looking for perhaps an offside call. And here we are onto another incident.
As Anthony Wallace is down for OKC Energy FC after an altercation there with Cesar Elizondo. And a yellow card to Cesar here in the 97th minute.
A yellow card caution has been assessed to San Antonio FC number 10, Cesar Elizondo, with overtime.
Energy will push forward. Danny Gonzalez. Miguel Gonzalez turning with Angulo. Slips it back to Miguel Gonzalez in the area. Is taken down. And a corner here for OKC Energy FC as Ibiaga was there.
That's really good attacking. Just bested by a fantastic defensive recovery. Not great overall defending, but wow, what a well-timed tackle that was from Sebastian Ibiaga to ensure that ball didn't come back across the face. I think Restrepo was in a tough position to manage that. Likely if that comes across, that ends up in the back of the net. But instead, a great tackle keeps the damage down to a corner.
The 9th of the match for Energy. Wallace. Shallow ball. Top of the area, blocked. Pinballs away from Wallace, Ojog will get back to it. Omar Gordon with a flair for the dramatics there. But it'll be a ball that'll go back to OKC Energy FC. And so it was delayed, Lance, but Rafa Castillo is now eventually going to come into the match here in extra time for San Antonio FC. And it looks like it's going to be for Elizondo now instead of Pekka.
Well, you can account for Rafa bringing in a tremendous amount of energy. As I said, a tremendous work rate. He's a disciplined player and a player who's a very good ball striker. Certainly has the ability to put the ball in the back of the net from virtually anywhere in the attacking third of the field.
Cesar's night is done, but he's the reason we're in extra time, because his goal in the 8th minute opened the scoring for San Antonio FC. And he hopes that it's not the last time this season that he walks off the pitch at Toyota Field. You hear the chant, Cesar, Cesar, Cesar. Here's Rafa Castillo. His first match since August the 12th in Reno. And you see he's wearing that protective face shield. Lance suffered a facial injury in that match against 1868 on the road in Nevada. Has not played since he's been available, but it's been a while. And how about that, a first touch right away? Billy Ford! That would have been a storybook finish there.
Well, he must have heard me applaud his ability to strike the ball from anywhere inside the attacking third, because he didn't get far in before releasing this on frame. Very well struck, ball moving away from the goalkeeper there, CJ Cochran. And you really think Billy's coming onto that in great position. A little too overzealous, maybe a little bit too excited. And just didn't stay down on the ball. He just needs to put that on frame at that point. Something he's more than capable of doing, but we're late into this match. Legs are maybe a little tired, a little frustration.
Angulo was trying to go over the top there for Gonzalez, intercepted by Ibiaga. San Antonio FC the other way. Omar Gordon, Castillo. Forbes. Boy, and he had Ever Guzman and Omar Gordon making the run into the box there.
At least one of them was an offside position. You love seeing Rafa straight away being the catalyst to get this attack going. And really from Billy there, it was never going to get on the end of one of those runs, offside or not. He's really got to bend that ball. He's got to texture it in, pull it away from the goalkeeper, leave it in there between the 6-yard box and the penalty spot. He didn't take a very good touch on that to deliver that service, but offside nonetheless.
Rafa Castillo, the oldest man on the pitch at 37 years of age, Lance, and it has seemed to re-energize this building here at Toyota Field in extra time.
Well, we talked about the crowd here being an educated crowd. Obviously recognizing and applauding the efforts of Cesar Elizondo as he came off the pitch tonight. He really gave a great effort, and he's been fantastic in front of this home crowd over the last few weeks. And also recognizing what Rafa brings to the match. And everyone knows he's going to bring some excitement. He's going to bring some work ethic. He's going to bring some tenacity, and that's exactly what he's shown here in his first few touches on the ball.
Cochran. McCarthy, some patience. Castillo.
And won a corner off of it. Well played by Rafa Castillo there. Really with not a lot down in that corner with that trusty left foot.
Here comes Omar Gordon to take the corner store corner kick as the crowd rises once again at Toyota Field. To the back post. We'll do it again. Saw Rafa Castillo make a little bit of a diagonal run, perhaps for a shorter play. It's Gordon again to the back post. Cochran in a dangerous position, but he'll punch that one away. San Antonio FC will have the throw-in on the opposite side.
It's a good decision and well played there from CJ Cochran. Come out strong, extend himself, and send that ball beyond the 18-yard box.
No added overtime in extra time. So another half minute here of this first half. Headed along by Castillo. Baril. Good touch upfield. San Antonio FC back on the ball. Cochran switches ends. Gordon lets it go for Marco Jong. Gordon off the back of Wallace. Kyle Highland. And him and Wallace will work it free. Closing seconds of the first half of extra time. And there's the whistle. One half of extra time is in the books. One half, 15 minutes remaining. We'll play that 15 when we return. 1-1 San Antonio FC, OKC Energy FC in extra time here on Fox Sports Southwest.
I'm not the type to say any of this mushy garbage. You know what? I'm going for it.
You are completely and utterly
Awesome. I'm glad you showed up.
in my life.
I think I'm about to cry. You better not.
Every single time I
Get down!
you always have
My back. My back.
It's really hard to describe. It's like all these tiny little things
Yes, things.
are actually friendship.
Toyota Field as we begin the second half of extra time. San Antonio FC, OKC Energy FC with a spot in the Western Conference Final on the line. It's gotten a little chillier here tonight, but boy, the spirits are warm of this crew here. That man doesn't know it's cold out. Here's what happened for San Antonio FC in extra time. Lance had a couple of chances there.
Yeah, straight away, Rafa Castillo comes in off the bench. And what he brought was exactly what we'd expected to bring. And in that, a lot of mobility. And he's engaged there on both sides of those two attacking chances. But he was bringing that extra mobility there in the middle of the park, something that we saw started to stagnate a little bit, certainly in advance of the ball. And that could be an integral piece. That could be a very important piece here if SAFC is able to find the game winner here in this last 15 minutes, is based on what Rafa Castillo is able to do in this middle of the park.
Forbes over the top. He's onside. Stops in the area. Billy! So close.
Off the foot of Rafa Castillo again, a fantastic service to the sprinting Billy Forbes. And Billy he just takes this touch. It doesn't quite get out far enough, and he doesn't feel confidence to continue to go across there, so he holds up, he hesitates, and comes back across to the inside and just loses his angle there for that finish because the goalkeeper was able to reset and get himself organized. But a good chance to start off the second 15 minutes of this overtime period.
It's a foul on Castillo, on Highland.
There's that tenacity here.
If we don't have a winner by the 120th minute, we'll go to penalties. Richard Dixon slips one to Wojciech. Off of Miguel Gonzalez, but he'll get it wide. Jonathan Martin into the area. Biaga, the clearance, the right to Kyle Highland. Highland is down in the box. And they play on.
No chance he's going to award that. Highland was going down before the challenge ever came. Good decision there from the center official.
Wallace.
Again, the pressure there on the defensive side of the ball from Rafa Castillo, forcing that ball. You're going to see Marco Zhang not even get there yet, and the dive had already began.
Energy with the throw-in. Did it go off the hand of Wojciech? It did. Quick play on the free kick and reset for San Antonio FC, but a little too quick.
Rafa Castillo coming in, showing nothing of a player that hasn't been in the side for a couple of months' time.
Guzman making the run. Mickey Daly's there. Might have gone off the hand of Rafa, but we continue. And now back the other way. Here's a great run. Once again, there's Jonathan Brown. Boy, he has been a bit of a menace there on that right flank.
That's exactly right. He's given the SAFC defense something extra to deal with, not just from these two and three central players here in the attack, but down that right-hand side for OKC, been very dangerous, very mobile, aggressive, earning now 2 or 3 corners here since he's been on.
Their 10th of the match. The corners are 10-4 for OKC Energy FC tonight. Right back in supporters row there for Anthony Wallace. Left-footed in-swinger.
This has really been unbelievable. Service from Wallace, time after time after time. That entry service into the box on these corners.
I mean, I can't imagine it's intentional, Lance, but he's done it so many times tonight. This one's turned wide of goal. San Antonio FC with a goal kick here in the 110 minute.
Now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to whip a ball in with pace that just requires a redirection onto frame, as opposed to one of these lofted services that come in that really require a lot better timing and a lot better take of the finish. He's just not able to clear that first defender, and so the result has, for the most part, been defensive clearances from SAFC.
And to the point you often make, he's been fortunate it hasn't led to better counters for San Antonio FC tonight.
That's right.
Ojong with Highland. And it went off of Highland. Ojong with a throw-in. Highland. A little bit of a push there from Marco Zhang here down on the field right now. San Antonio FC wants to press forward. Highland is limping upfield. I know he wants to continue. Tough spot on that left back position. This one goes off Cochran.
A yellow card caution has been assessed to San Antonio FC number 16, Rafa Castillo.
He gave Rafa Castillo a yellow card. My assumption is for arguing after the fact on that last play.
Yeah, Rafa was coming across to let the center official know that there was nothing in it, and that it was just gamesmanship there on the touchline, taking away the advantage of SAFC getting a quick restart. Obviously too assertive for the liking of Guido Gonzalez Jr.
Castillo switches ends to Cochran. Not a lot of movement for San Antonio FC here. Cochran will get it back from Reed. Castillo over the top. Billy's onside. Now the flag goes up.
Wow, that must have been very, very close. What a fantastic service here.
I think that's onside.
I think that was a poor decision there.
And it was a late call, and Darren Powell doesn't agree either.
Assistant referee here on the near side, the one that signaled for that offsides.
And now a possession foul in favor of OKC Energy FC, and they haven't had a lot of these dangerous spots for free kicks here either. This is going to be about 30 yards out for them.
And most of the free kicks that OKC have had thus far tonight have been from these wider positions. It's allowed them to just play the ball across the face of goal, which creates a certain kind of danger. These balls directly out in front create a different kind of danger.
Straight away, Angulo's over the ball.
SAFC with everybody underneath the ball.
Jonathan Brown, oh, how about that? Pressure from San Antonio FC came out and blocked the attempt for Brown. Now Highland lifts it to the top of the area. Good pressure from McCarthy. Here goes San Antonio on the counter. Castillo. A little bit of hesitation as Billy was making the run. Rafa was trying to get in his feet properly, and by the time he delivered it over the top, it was just well past Billy, who had stopped.
Yeah, that first touch of preparation for Rafa, just not quite what he wanted, to be able to play that ball in the right rhythm. Billy overran the back line of OKC and had to hesitate, and obviously threw the timing off there.
Cochran keeps it alive on the touchline and then loses. 5 minutes remaining here in extra time. If we don't have a winner, we'll go to penalties, which would frankly seem fitting between these two sides. Pekka and McCarthy. I know there's tired legs, Lance. There's not a lot of mobility for either side here in extra time. Can Gordon run this down? He cannot.
Yeah, with the temperatures dropping tonight, that moisture on the surface is just picking up a little bit. There you saw that ball just kind of skip out away from Omar Gordon. Really wasn't a bad service. Tons and tons of backspin to let it settle down. But that added element just skips on out over the inline.
Temperatures are dropping fast because of the lack of humidity, and a clear night. Started at 55 degrees at kickoff. We're down to 46 now. Gordon trying to shrug off Burrell. Miller in a throw-in for San Antonio FC.
And I find it interesting here as this game continues to play out. Really OKC in the position that they probably would like to be in, where they're in the game. They've got a chance to win the game, but if it goes to penalties, they can manage that. They'll live with that. Pressure really tonight was on SAFC, being at home in this setting, and the pressure right now remains on them. So we took a little bit of a longer route to get to this situation, but we find ourselves probably in a scenario that we would have expected.
I think so, and you're right, not the path necessarily because of how quickly San Antonio FC struck tonight. I got to give credit to OKC Energy FC. They battled and battled and battled before Wojciech leveled it in the 85th minute. But I agree with you. I get the sense OKC Energy FC is very happy managing this game in these last couple of minutes of extra time, exactly where it is. And San Antonio FC is trying to find one last push, one last gear here in extra time. It's interesting that Angulo has really not been a factor at all in extra time here.
Well, there hasn't really been that same commitment from OKC to get numbers in and around Angulo. More of being content just to manage things, not overextend as a shape for OKC. So he's been a little bit on his own.
This is out to Pekka. A little bit of space here. Pekka. Service into the box in Forbes' direction. Brought down by Billy. And a foul. Not a lot of contact there.
That's a pretty surprising decision, I'd say. As it turned out, Mickey Daly came across, made a recovery, cleared the ball. It probably should have stayed as an SAFC throw-in down there, as opposed to really changing the course there and awarding OKC with a bit of a phantom foul.
Billy Forbes. Mickey Daly. Ahead for Miguel Gonzalez. Angulo trying to fend off Ibeagha. Ibeagha wins the battle. McCarthy to the outside, Ojong. Fans rising to their feet. Ojong into the box off of Reed, who was there. 1 minute of added time and extra time. Well, Michael Reed found himself in a lot of open area. Turns back here for Gordon. Back into the box. Mickey Daly for the clearance. Energy FC trying to get one last push, and that was tracked well by Cochran.
Gotta like what you see there from SAFC, just really being relentless in their urgency to find the game winner. Interestingly, Michael Reed goes with his right foot there instead of his left foot.
That'd have been some birthday present.
But you like what you see, SAFC trying to get those early services in between the back line and Cochran.
Maybe the last push, and that will do it. We will go to penalties to decide a Western Conference finalist to oppose Swope Park Rangers after this 1-1 after 120 minutes. Penalties coming up when we return on Fox Sports Southwest.
Look for the silver door, Timmy.
All right, here we go.
Timmy!
What is this place? Welcome to the Spurs Retirement Club. This is nice.
Here we have all-you-can-eat H-E-B Prime 1 steaks.
Awesome. And here's your monogram steak, sir. Cooked to perfection.
Plus an unlimited supply of Creamy Creations ice cream. You get it?
Yeah, I get it.
H-E-B Prime 1, just like they serve in the finest restaurants.
Gotta crank this party up a notch.
Toyota trucks like the Tundra and Tacoma can take you pretty much anywhere. They can take you here, that place, way over there, even through this. But on game day, they take you to the most important place there is, the tailgate party. Come by the Toyota Tailgate event for a great deal on the Toyota Tundra or Tacoma. Trucks that'll take you pretty much anywhere. Toyota, let's go places.
Toyota Field has seen 120 minutes of end-to-end great soccer tonight, and it'll come down to penalties to decide a Western Conference finalist opposite Swope Park Rangers. San Antonio FC and OKC Energy FC getting set for the penalty shootout.
It's a way you never like to see a match end this way, and we've talked about it throughout the broadcast tonight and really throughout the course of the last couple of years. Every time these two teams see each other, it's so tightly contested. The staffs on both sides certainly expected, you hear some of the interviews going on throughout the week, certainly expected a very, very tight match. Probably, as we said, didn't go quite the path or the course that we expected with the early goal and the really, really late equalizer. But in the end, to find ourselves in penalties, the majority of people that know this rivalry probably would have guessed that to be the case.
Coin flip is decided for penalties here to see who goes first. San Antonio FC, I believe, has won the toss and will go first.
Looked as if they did two coin flips. One,
yeah, for goal, right?
Yep, one for the goal to be decided and selected, and then the second for the order of kicks.
Now, San Antonio FC has gone to penalties twice this year, Lance. Once was in the Open Cup against Tulsa, which they lost 7-6. The other was a friendly against Santos Laguna here at Toyota Field back in early July. We've seen Rafa Castillo pretty good from that spot. Ever Guzman, obviously, pretty good from that spot. And we'll see who Darren Powell will put out here, at least to start. Boy, what a test here for these two keepers. You've got the experience of Restrepo and the younger CJ Cochran put in a position that I'm sure he never thought he would imagine even a month ago.
Yeah, interestingly, the pressure in these scenarios is never really on the goalkeeper. The pressure really is on the players that are stepping up to the penalty spot. You're going to hope, as a staff and as a team, you're going to hope that your goalkeeper can get himself in the way of one, and then see what happens from there.
So it'll actually be OKC Energy FC that's going to shoot first here. And Jose Angulo, who had 15 goals on the season, is going to be the first shooter in this 5-round set of penalties.
Yeah, what we saw was Sebastian Ibiaga won the second of the two coin flips and deferred, choosing to go second. As you see, the heads-up fans making their way around to the side of the stadium to get a better glimpse.
And the players huddled together, shoulder on shoulder. Here we are in penalties. Crowd rises to their feet. Angulo, the left-footed striker. OKC Energy FC on the board first. Ever Guzman, the first for San Antonio FC against CJ Cochran. Guzman scored on the opposite side from this spot in stoppage time last Saturday, which proved to be the game winner to get San Antonio FC to this point. Now here in the first round of penalties against CJ Cochran, Guzman, the right-footed striker. Cochran the save.
As you led into that, I wondered what Guzman would do. Would he choose to do exactly as he did last week, knowing that he would have been scouted and they would have known exactly where he went? He chose to essentially take the exact same penalty he did last week. And CJ Cochran gambled on that and in the end was able to keep it out.
Jonathan Brown, who came on in a second half substitution role in the second round of penalties after a huge first save by CJ Cochran. against Diego Restrepo. Right-footed Jonathan Brown. Stutter step to the ball. 2-0 OKC Energy FC. Rafa Castillo has to score, you would think here.
Here you see here, this ball's going to chop in. Just that bounce keeps it out of reach of Diego Restrepo. Really a well-taken penalty. Tucked it right into the side netting, but the texture of the ball to bounce it over that hand.
Darren Powell looks on. Rafa's been the man from this spot, though. Ice in his veins. Rafa Castillo gets San Antonio FC on the board. Darren Powell loves it on the bench.
Super sub tonight. He's done a fantastic job in the limited minutes he had. Really brought a lift for SAFC. Kyle, in with that penalty.
Kyle Hyland, left-footed striker, 2 goals on the season for OKC. Restrepo off his hand and in. Diego guessed right, but couldn't keep it out.
I think Diego guessed right, and Hyland might have mishit it a little bit. Yeah, I don't think that came as far across from Hyland's left to right as he had hoped for, but to his fortune, stayed just far enough behind Restrepo.
Michael Reed in the 3rd round of penalties with OKC Energy FC 3 for 3. And San Antonio FC 1 for 2. The birthday boy turned 30 today. Reed to the ball. Cochran the save. San Antonio FC is really up against it now.
Really not very well taken. Didn't put nearly enough pace on it. Saw him stay on that left foot, his plant foot. Never really got through the ball enough. And CJ Cochran, he's got great range. Did a good job of guessing and getting across to that post. Now a difficult situation for Restrepo in that he's got to make a save here to keep SAFC in it.
The 28-year-old Anthony Wallace can win it for Energy here in round 4. Left-footed Wallace to the ball. Energy is going to the Western Conference Finals as they win it in penalties, 4-1 over San Antonio FC. And the dream season is over for the home side as OKC Energy FC is moving on and San Antonio FC is headed home. Lance's first kick sets the tone of penalties. Angulo converted, Guzman failed. And it never went San Antonio FC's way.
That's right, in the end we said the pressure's on the penalty takers, not really on the goalkeeper. CJ Cochran did a great job in making a couple of saves and put SAFC under even more pressure, which is tough to deal with in the circumstance, in the context of the situation, in front of your home crowd. Certainly the boys will be disappointed in the way the result ends their season. But I think for soccer in this city, I think for these fans that were here tonight and that have supported this team throughout the course of the season, there's so much to be proud of and so much to be grateful for. And to the credit of OKC, in the end, they fought through every minute of the match. They stayed in it. They continued to find and create chances. They took the one they needed to. And did absolutely what was necessary tonight to get themselves through to the Western Conference Finals.
What a season for San Antonio FC. What a season for Diego Restrepo and Darren Powell. That's a lonely walk back to the locker room. But it doesn't take away from what this group has done this year and what they have, as you put, brought to the city of San Antonio, a soccer club that this community and this region can be proud of. And even though it ends in disappointment, it certainly sets the bar high for next season.
Absolutely. As we said, a disappointing, a lonely walk, a lonely feeling right now, because you feel like you were just minutes, as a player, you were just minutes away from hosting yet another playoff match next weekend. And for things to turn as they did, it will sting, it will be bitter for a long time to come. But it wasn't for lack of effort. It wasn't for lack of quality this year. I mean, over the course of the season, sitting on 4 losses in 33 matches now. You chalk this up to a loss on penalties, but if you look at how they played it throughout the course of the year, they gave a lot for this community to be proud of, and undoubtedly that's going to continue to carry over as this club and this game evolves here in San Antonio.
Lance, it's been a pleasure all season doing these San Antonio FC games with you, both here on Fox Sports Southwest and on SanAntonioFC.com. April can't come soon enough.
That's right. It really has been a treat. Thank you so much.
Well, San Antonio FC will prepare for the 2018 season. Make sure you go to SanAntonioFC.com for all the key details and information. Now for Anya Rosales, Lansky, and our entire Fox Sports Southwest crew, I'm Dan Weiss, thanking you for joining us. Our final from Toyota Field, OKC Energy FC advances 2-1 in penalties. This has been a presentation of the USL and Spurs Sports and Entertainment. So long, everybody.